Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. My name's Bahamut, joined by the illustrious Grubby and Justing, and we are here in week number 3, day number 2. We've got 2 amazing best of 5s for all of you at home, but before we jump into prize pool, sponsors, partners, everything in between, let's of course check in with our friends here, because yesterday was quite a day of games, and we're getting ready for some more here. Grubby, how you feeling?
Yeah, feeling really good. I just had a sick game on Towers of Doom that went down to the final points again. It was just a complete slaughter. And Falstad completed his W quest. Can you believe it? He was on our side.
No, you're living in a fever dream still. Someone's got to slap Grubby to wake him up. That's not possible. No one can finish dishonorable discharge.
I'm not really sure it's true too. And I'm not sure you know why?
Why?
I just heard you introduce yourself and you were like, my name is, and then it glitched out for a sec and I heard so can I call you for the rest of the stream?
Yeah, no, absolutely. As long as you nail it perfectly every single time, I'm all for it. But of course, Justing, how are you doing, my friend? Are you ready for another amazing day of HeroesCCL action?
Yep, I'm doing great. I'm definitely excited to see our matches today, especially the last match of the day. It's going to be unbelievably hype. So I'm excited for today.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a little bit. We still have to check out some other little factoids, but and of course, that factoid being the prize pool, because I know we broke $6,000 yesterday because of your amazing support, but of course, as always, to be transparent with everyone at home, 60% will be going to the players, first place taking 35% of said 60%. 40% will be coming back to create amazing graphics, run this show through Wisdom, and of course, if anyone has not opened up the Blizzard launcher this weekend, do yourself a favor and do so. There, every single week, Vipey's creating new artwork on the Blizz launcher. This weekend it's Dahaka, and last weekend the Garrosh was amazing, so keep your eyes out for all of that amazing artwork that he's been doing, because honestly, I'm blown away every single time I get to see it right before the broadcast weekend. But, of course, let's focus in on that prize pool, because if you use ! prize pool in chat, it'll get you over to the match arena, and if you'd like to donate towards said prize pool, we very much appreciate it. We're at $6,228.69 because of your support, and I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to maybe get a furry friend to join us on stream today if we can maybe break $7,000. But of course, furry friends aside, let's talk about the league standings here, Grubby, because I know Logan would love a treat, but I think the standings is a bit of a treat for everyone at home.
Yep, it sure is, and hope we got a couple of treats for you guys today at home with some awesome matches. Diamond Hands has separated themselves from the pack with their victory yesterday, now nestling atop the mountain with a 3-0 score. Storm and Simplicity sadly lost their 3rd consecutive match. As for Chili Mountain, they won their 2nd match, are now at a 2-1 score. Today we're going to be seeing Granit, Oxygen, 30k and Wildheart, and seeing who can join Diamond Hands, if any, at that 3-0 record.
And yeah, Justing, as we alluded to earlier, can we take a look at what matches we'll see today? Because you talked about that second best of 5 being quite hype, but of course, we've got a first one to kick off.
Yep, we've got Oxygen Esports going up against Granit Gaming in our match 1, which Oxygen's looked quite strong in our previous matches. Going to be exciting to see how they're going to do. And Granit, still a bit of a wild card team. Not sure how they're going to fare as the season progresses, but that'll be cool to see as well. And Wildheart versus 30k, the match I had talked about earlier. This is 2nd place versus 3rd place right now, but they're tied in the standings in both game score and match record. So the winner of this is going to be with Diamond Hands in 1st place right now. It's the most important match. It's going to be nuts. Both of those teams fighting for 1st place right now.
Yeah, 2-0 record, 6-1 map score, so someone's going to be moving around, and someone's going to be, well, I guess both teams will be moving around in a sense, but one team will be climbing that ladder up and up and up. But of course, before we start breaking down our amazing teams that we have in our first best of 5 of the day, I want to start breaking down our amazing sponsor. We have Next Level Gaming joining us for HeroesCCL Season 4. What is Next Level Gaming? They're a Miami-based esports center where you can play Heroes of the Storm along 400 other pre-installed games that are updated daily. Next Level Gaming is also a Blizzard Cafe, which means you get some extra benefits when you are playing over at Next Level Gaming, like extra experience on your account and all heroes being unlocked. You can also utilize their amazing computers over at Next Level Gaming. They have HP Omens with Intel i7 processors and RTX 3090 graphics cards. And with such an amazing computer, you gotta have an amazing monitor. They've got 2 options for you over at Next Level Gaming. They've got a 24-inch monitor at 240Hz and a 32-inch monitor at 144Hz. Be sure to use !NXT in chat to find out all you can about Next Level Gaming. And I know a lot of you at home, you're like, okay, Next Level Gaming, that's cool. They got some amazing computers, but Ball Street is partnered up with HeroesCCL to bring you cclmarkets.com. Get your gambles in, chat, of course. It's a free pick'em game that lets you choose HeroesCCL winners in real time as you watch the action. Simply buy shares of the team you think is going to win the matchup and sell shares of the team you think is going to lose. The best part, I got you. The best part is you can change your mind at any time because the market's always open. Buy and sell all match long to get a better score. Every night, the top traders on CCL markets will win prizes that you can compete, and you can compete all season long for said prizes. Be sure to join cclmarkets.com and win prizes as you watch today's broadcast. I know a lot of you at home love to get your gambles in, so we'll be definitely checking in on that throughout the day, or at least I'll be peeking here and there myself because I'm always interested to see how you guys are gambling. But of course, we got to figure out who we're gambling on here, Grubby, because we have got two amazing teams to kick off our first best of 5 of the day. Can you break down who's on Oxygen?
Yeah, Bad Penny's an absolutely fantastic tank player that has really been stepping it up even more this season, I feel like. HazuOps, formerly of 30k, now in Oxygen, is one of our best Hanzo players, if not the best Hanzo player in the HeroesCCL. Definitely watch out for his Dragon Arrows. And we've got Copenhagen on the amazing side lane. Nick has a couple of cool pocket picks, including Sergeant Hammer, and Kerrigan, and so on. And Yasu, great on the healing. And it's only fitting that such a star roster even has a star on the couch as well on the warm-up bench. It's Rutzo coming in as the sub.
Oh, yeah, and I agree. I mean, HazuOps has played 4 out of 7 maps on Hanzo, so definitely you got to keep an eye out on that one. We'll update everyone on some of these hero stats, because of course, we got to update you on who's on the side of Granit Gaming here, Justin.
And Granite Gaming, kind of the old new guard versus the old guard here. We've got Azerite playing the ranged, Breeze, the tank for the team, Poik, the ranged flex for the team, SMX playing the support, Wubby is the offlane, and Quacknix is their substitute right now. But this roster has been around forever. This is a season, besides Azerite, all these players have been in the scene since basically the beginning of Heroes Esports. We've got players like Breeze and Poik and Wubby who have played on Dignitas back in the day. We have Fnatic members. We have just kind of a veteran roster of kind of the old guard showing that they can still do it. That's what they're going to be looking to do in this match against kind of the new guard in Oxygen.
It is going to be a very exciting matchup between both these teams. I seriously, I can't. I've been looking forward to a lot of these ones, and I'm looking forward to see what Granit Gaming is able to do this weekend, because we didn't get to see them last weekend up against Chili Mountain, so we're gonna have to see if that extra time did help them scale up a little bit, and we can start talking about who's on what sides in the sense of who's actually playing today when we get into the draft, because we got to let you know where we're going to for our first map of the day, and I'm really, really happy about this. We were talking about it before the broadcast started, and it seems like players are really starting to enjoy going to Garden of Terror, which was the new map voted in, as Volskaya Foundry is voted out going into Season 4 here. But of course, the members of Granite Gaming winning Coin Flip, opting for first pick priority, banning out Dragonshire, the members of Oxygen banning out Battlefield of Eternity, and we will be seeing Oxygen choosing to take us to Garden of Terror for map number 1. I am very much liking this map here, Grubby. There's so much uniqueness with this, as well as you don't get like a quote-unquote standard meta draft. I feel like you got to play to the camps, the lanes, the push.
Yes, exactly. It's very important to have heroes that can achieve things by themselves without necessarily relying on the objective. For oftentimes you'll lose at least one of the seeds out of the first 4, out of the first 3, let's say, and you'll need at least 4 or 5 seed sequences in order for one of the teams to get the objective. That's quite a long period of time to spend just doing.
Oh, did we? I think Grubby.
That large space of time. Am I still there?
You had a slight freeze. You had a slight freeze in your thought. It was too prophetic. It just couldn't come through.
In the large space of time between all the seeds needing to be collected, there is much to do, including attacking structures. And we saw some amazing structural attack play with the Sylvanas team yesterday from Chili Mountain against Storm.
Sylvanas did have a lot of great play yesterday, and we're getting into our ban phase, and it seems like Junkrat is still someone who cannot be played in the sense of he's going to be banned out every single time, but that makes sense, Justin. Yesterday we had one Junkrat game, and it kind of showcased how good of a hero and why he's always banned out.
Yeah, we had Unaverted just completely destroying with Junkrat when we saw it in the other game. We saw the Murden stuns into the concussive mine pretty much every single time, just chaining the CC perfectly, and we had just the complete annihilation of towers if he's ever left alone. And you also can't siege into the Junkrat, so Junkrat being permanently banned makes a lot of sense. He's also good into double support. The only thing that he's really weak into is dive, but all of the supports right now do a pretty good job of kind of preventing a dive one-shot onto your backline. So yeah, Junkrat being banned makes a lot of sense. Lucio being banned makes sense as well. Blaze is available. Blaze is kind of the expectation, but trading Blaze for Dahaka on a big map like this, not terrible. So we see the Sylvanas picked up instead.
Now, some of you might be at home and you might be eagle-eyed viewers, and you might have noticed that Quacknix is in and Smexy is out. That is what it looks like the roster shakeup is going to be for this weekend, so we're going to see if that changes things up a little bit for the side of Granite Gaming. Exciting stuff, but Grubby, I mean, a Joanna Dahaka, what a nice start for the side of Oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. This is a really solid opening that doesn't say super much about where you're going to be going. What's interesting too is that we saw an amazing Falling Sword Sergeant Hammer combination, maybe last week I think it was, and Nick does play Sergeant Hammer. That is now a possibility. So we might see that coming out. I like it quite a bit on this map as well. Can be played as a solo lane. That would leave Hazu to maybe go for something like Hanzo, and Yasu going with the healer that supports that. Solid opening.
Yeah, no, I wonder if Granit's done their research and if this will be the third ban Nick shows, because Justing, that was kind of what we saw all last weekend, and there it is, exactly. Grubby hinted to it, and that's exactly the case. Nick is not going to be able to play the Sergeant Hammer. But I mean, Unaverted last weekend had a great showing with it, and we kind of see why that is, Justing.
Yeah, I'm glad that we saw Unaverted play it last week, because we weren't entirely sure sort of why it was getting banned. We knew it was a target ban, but we hadn't seen it yet, and seeing Unaverted playing it made it look just completely OP. It looked super broken, so I think it's more just a hero pool thing where Sergeant Hammer might be extremely strong, but if you don't play her, if you're not comfortable with playing her, she's very weird to play, and it wouldn't be something that, if there was any kind of nerves at all, if you weren't 100% comfortable picking her, that you would definitely not want to pick her in a game like this, where you're going to be under a ton of pressure. You know that you're not maybe playing 100% optimally if you're nervous at all. So getting the Hammer ban makes a ton of sense. I would expect to continue seeing that for pretty much the rest of the series, because Hammer, when Unaverted played it, looked just completely broken, honestly. He took a whole fort by himself at like 4 minutes.
We did see that yesterday as well, but of course, Grubby, any thoughts on the drafts that did evolve right here for Garden of Terror?
Hanzo Anduin, very expected. We now have either Falling Sword or Blessed Shield together with Light Bomb value. Now, okay. All right, I was wondering if they were going to just go for a front-to-back attacker to help deal with Blaze and Murd in frontline, as Hanzo typically doesn't like to do that alone. But they're going to go in a different way. They're now playing a lot more around their heroic cooldowns. We have Hanzo Arrow into Light Bomb with Blessed Shield, and then Genji either going with X-Strike, the safe one, or maybe he's going to go for the cool one, Dragonblade.
Okay, well, we got the Shimada Bros here. Of course, Justin, we're about to load in. Any thoughts that you could break down for us?
I think if the Malfurion was a Brightwing for Granite Gaming, their comp would be a lot better. The main issue I'm seeing is that Malfurion might be a bit of a detriment because he has really no way to peel himself. He has no ice block anymore. They do have the Blaze Bunker, some potential CC from the Sylvanas ultimate, and a Murden stun to peel for him. But that as a kind of a squishy target that you can focus on in the backline, if you have a Genji with a Light Bomb on it, diving into like with a Hanzo Arrow as well, that might be a bit of a detriment. I'm expecting whoever's playing the Malfurion, if it is Azerite, to have to play extremely safe. We do see the Quacknix stepping in, playing the Sylvanas this game. So if Azerite is playing Malfurion, we know that Azerite has been quite flexible in the past. He's played tank before, he's played range before, but primarily he is a ranged flex player. So if he's playing the support, being a squishy Malfurion is definitely a little bit daunting into a potential Falling Sword from Johanna, Hanzo Arrow at any time from Hasuobs, a Genji diving into the backline with a Light Bomb attached. It's a lot of scary dive. So if that was a Brightwing, I think Granite Gaming's draft would be infinitely better. But as it stands right now, Oxygen definitely has the tools to dive onto the backline.
Well, thank you, Justin, for the analysis as always, and we'll get your thoughts at the after the game as well, because we are here loaded into map number 1, Garden of Terror. On the left-hand side, we have Oxygen Esports. We've got Nick on the Genji, Hazoabs on the Hanzo, Kopen on the Dahaka, Yasu on the Anduin, and Bad Benny will be playing the Joanna. And I'm actually just being told now we're going to resolve some technical issues with Grubby. So Justin will be joining me. Can you introduce Granit Gaming, my friend?
Yep, Quacknick's playing the Sylvanas. We've got Wubby playing the Blaze. Azerite is on the Malfurion. Poik is playing Lunara, and Breeze will be playing that Muradin.
All right, well, I'm looking at an Oxygen win personally. I think the Shimada Bros are great. I think the Dahaka will be huge for them, as well as you mentioned, Light Bomb, Falling Sword, or Light Bomb with the Genji dive. This could be, and I expect it to be big for the side of Oxygen, but of course, looking at our setup right now, looking at some of our questing talents, we'll see Scatter for Scatter for Hanzo standard, Enhanced Agility for the Dahaka standard as well, in my opinion, for a map like this with so many bushes and so much movement speed available. But the biggest thing to talk about is Lunara's Wisp. Lunara's Wisp with the Sentinel Wisp sees so much. You can actually see Bad Benny has that red reticle over his head for a second there. That does mean that he is seen by that Wisp. They just don't know where it is, because the increased range here, Justin, is insanely large.
Yeah, it's definitely a ton of vision. On the other side, we have Hanzo with his E, with his Sonic Arrow. That is the only real vision for them. And on a map like this, there is a lot of controlling the rotations, and vision can play a big part in that. You see Breeze right now kind of just patrolling around, just getting information, seeing that Nick is doing this camp. He's just going to play around here. He knows that he can't really die in this situation. It would take at least 3 members to take him down, so he's just going to scout for his team so that his team is safe and knows where they are allowed to be. Granit Gaming's composition, though, with the double ranged backline with the Sylvanas and Lunara, looks a lot scarier once it gets into team fights. They have just really, really good safe range damage right now that in macro in the early game, they should be able to get camps out a little bit quicker than Oxygen. And when it comes to team fights and poking around the objective, if they're able to stay away from getting hard engaged on, they should be able to win most of the team fights with their composition, at least until level 10. So I'm expecting Granit to really control the game until 10 at least, because until then it should be nearly impossible for something like a Genji to really go into the backline or really focus anyone on Granit.
The focus will be adjusted soon, as we have the seed spawning here in the next 26 seconds, and that'll be on the bottom right of the map. So this will be favoring the position of Granit Gaming. We'll see if Oxygen steps into this. I would expect Hazoabs to be kind of stepping in a little bit to try and build up some more of those level 1 simple geometry stacks. Maybe even Nick diving in as well, because he does have the Shuriken Mastery from level 4. He's got to get those 30 stacks for the increased damage, 60 stacks for the Cyber Agility, refunding 3 charges of Shuriken. But top lane has a massive wave. Mid lane does have Siege Giants. Things are looking good for Granit Gaming at the start here, Siege and aggression-wise.
Yeah, you notice that Nick, as their range here on Genji, doesn't really clear the Knights very well. No one on the side of Oxygen really clears the Knights all that well. You do have Nick diving onto Azerite, like I hinted on beforehand. He's getting body blocked super hard. We'll see if he's able to get peeled out. He does get out. So in a 3v4, they managed to escape. That's really huge for Granit, because that means that they have numbers advantage on the bottom side of the map. Poik is just 1v1ing Hazoabs right now as well while that's going on. So overall, that was a huge win for Granit, because they're able to just kind of create space in the top side without dying, while their bottom side of the map gets stuff done.
Top still has things going on. We have Nick once again trying to dive onto Azerite, but it's not connecting with any of the skill shots. And Azerite backs away once again. The fort front gate will fall through top lane. Poik and Breeze will grab the first seed. You did have Breeze kind of anchoring, pulling those shamblers away, while there is the channel onto the seed. And we'll have that Lunara back into bottom lane. Nick trying to put more pressure onto Quacknix, who's dropping low, but Azerite once again with the heals, looking a-okay for now. I feel like once we get into level 10s, that's where the big shift, or at least we should see a shift in the team fights here. I think things should become more explosive, of course, at level 10, but I think it's going to be from the side of Oxygen, which is how much engagement and CC and big potential they have here. But speaking of potential, that's going to be a kill onto the Hanzo, first blood over the side of Granit Gaming.
Yeah, nice root by Azerite too on the Malfurion. Uncharacteristic of Hazoabs to get caught like that, just with no setup CC for it. Just Malfurion being the first CC there. Very nice by Azerite, showing that although that's not his main role maybe, he's still doing well on it. Azerite might be the target now though, might have caster cursed him. Look at me go, I'm already doing it.
Look at you. Game one
curse.
and you're already cursing people left and right. You're going to do well here, kid. But a second seed will spawn top left of the map. We are going to be seeing it favoring Oxygen Esports. Blaze already backing away. But Hazuobs, there we go. I keep wanting to say Yasuobs, but Hanzo is going to be just kind of poking at the Blaze in top lane, getting that wave clear. Did go full scatter build, so it's going to be great for clearing the camps. Angling those arrows for waves are a little difficult, but still, either way, that is going to be seed ready to go.
Yeah, and I think what you touched on before with the level 10s, super important and definitely going to come into fruition as the game continues. We've got Hasuobs, which will likely have the Dragon's Arrow with the stun, which he's just been absolutely insane with in all of the games we've seen him on Hanzo.
Gotcha.
So they're going to have that set up into the Genji dive in with the Light Bomb. Level 10 is basically required before Oxygen should really ever win any kind of fights.
I agree. Like that's kind of how it feels here, with just the overall control between Breeze and Wubby on the Muradin and Blaze. It just doesn't feel like Oxygen can really step up in some situations, in most situations before level 10. But now it's already here for the side of Granite Gaming, who did go into Thornwood Vine, which is going to be a lot of great poke. Yasu going for the Chastise for one stall. Azurite looking for the channel. And Hazuobs just continues to soak in the top lane. And in bottom, though, Nick goes for the kill, but it doesn't really work out. He's going to have to either hearth out or back out of the lane, and he will do exactly that. 10's up on both sides.
It was a really nice prediction on the E, though, by Poik. That little sidestep we saw, it was just like a micro sidestep, just a little juke there without any vision, just kind of predicting it. Poik, he's still got it. Poik back in the day, I remember him as being one of the best mechanical players in the world at his peak, so seeing him do that cute little Lunara sidestep there with no vision, just predicting it, it's nice to see that Poik still got it.
Still has it for this game here, and I'm just looking and waiting. All heroics are off cooldown. I'm waiting for some sort of engagement. Maybe it's around this seed, because it is going to be potential for this. Oh wait, hold on. There's going to be the light bomb. There's the initiation. Azurite will go down. Wubby drops the bunker. The drag from Dahaka connects as the wailing arrow from Quacknix will go out, but it's not going to slow down or nullify the double kill that will be achieved to Oxygen Esports, who should be able to confirm the seed without any much contest.
Yeah, this was kind of the fear, is as soon as level 10s hit, you have Hasuobs with the Hanzo with the Dragon Arrow trying to target that Malfurion in particular. And if it was just the Malfurion hit, it might have been okay, because maybe the Blaze Bunker could have came out sooner, but if they're both getting hit by the stun, it's just lights out for them, which we saw there, but even during that, Lunara is able to get some value in the bot lane.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look while the seed is being grabbed as to how that last engagement worked out. Can you break it down for us here, Justin?
Yep, so we see a cross-map arrow with all of Oxygen playing around this top side. The arrow's going to come out and it's going to hit perfectly onto the targets that they want. You have Azurite just getting completely bonked by it, and instantly the follow-up from all of Oxygen, all 5 of them just like sharks in water, instantly onto Azurite, and then also taking down the Blaze. The bunker's definitely not enough to save him in that situation, but the Haka does go down here on the bottom side of the map, and it is 1-2 in objective, so if they're able to kind of control the area around this and maybe keep their lanes pushed out, they can potentially put Oxygen into a situation where they're either going to have to contest this because it's going to be the plant point, or they're going to have to lose a bunch of macro pressure, either top or bottom, depending how they set up the map for Granite. And they're looking for kind of a risky invade right now, because the Haka may be able to just dig in on this.
I was looking at the Hazuob's vision while they were invading that camp. He knew that the enemy was taking it, but I think was just trying to get some free stacks on the level 1, and this is going to be 13s apiece. We do have that Dahaka back in the mix. He's in bottom lane, and checking for anyone wondering, he does, yes, have Brushstock. But does Oxygen step in? This feels a little... Okay, no, they actually, does it feel a little bit late? They can't get one shield glare. Bad Benny has to pop Iron Skin, steps in to now get the second shield glare. Poik going for the channel. That's going to be the backline dive. There's the Dahaka Brushstock, as you had mentioned, misses the drag, but that's because the character was already dead. He was going for the drag on Sylvanas, and she just got annihilated. That's another double kill to the side of Oxygen Esports, who looked a little shaky at the start, but are really starting to ramp up here, Justin. And I think we were talking about it at the start of this game, Oxygen can't do anything until level 10. Now that they have level 10, they're finding double kill after double kill, and it's really starting to show here.
Yeah, they really rely heavily on their ultimates to get kills, and I had talked about in the draft with the Malfurion being very, very vulnerable in this type of composition. We saw it right there. There's basically no counterplay to having a light bomb on the Genji diving on top of you and stunning you. You're basically just going to get one shot from just the Genji into the Light Bomb stun, into the X Strike from Genji, that is basically enough damage to just kill a Malfurion straight up. So they're going to have to position perfectly on Granite Gaming and kind of always be watching all of their angles. We're going to need to see Muradin, played by Breeze, hopefully trying to stand in a position that is like directly between his squishy backline and the Hanzo at all times. So hopefully Breeze is going to make that adaptation, and between Breeze and Wubby, they need to sort of set up a literal human shield for Azerite and the squishy backliners and Quacknix and Poik, because if not, if that Dragon Arrow hits, they're going to get deleted. And even if not, it's impossible to stop a Genji from eating into your backline with a Light Bomb on him. So we're going to have Wubby at least ready with the bunker, because they cannot allow someone to get one shot without bunker coming out to at least prolong it.
We have another seed. It looks like it should get delayed out. Hanzo does finish out his level 1. It's a little bit of a Shadow Dagger onto Copen, who burrows under the ground and has the Lurker Strain, but Wubby gets the channel. That is going to be the Garden Terror to the side of Granite Gaming. Now, how much or what value will be found with this? Because Oxygen Esports does have 16 talents here looming right on the horizon here, a sliver of a level to go, as the mid lane fort will be, the fort front gate will fall, bottom lane fort will fall, as our observer catches that perfectly in time, and in top lane, the Garden Terror spawned very far back, so I think the real... Yeah, I was going to say the real split is probably like Dahaka bottom and the rest of the team to top, but actually Joanna's going to bottom as well. Okay, they're going to be swapping off right there, as I think Joanna probably needs to be in the top lane. And 16 for Granite, right around the corner here, Justing.
Yeah, it didn't feel like Oxygen really needed to commit too much to stalling that, and it felt like they didn't commit much. We do see Granite now playing around top side, but they don't have 16s quite yet. Oxygen might try to take advantage of this and look for a fight right now. They have a very short window before level 16. The arrow comes out, it does land on the Quacknix.
Light Bomb will go out onto Nick as well, who manages to land a huge X-Strike into the backline. Quacknix, 198 HP, will go down. Copen burrows, pops the Essence, has that Lurker Strain, lands the Drag Tongue onto Wubby, who does fall. Now, Breeze is looking like the next target. We do have that Feeding Frenzy for Dahaka, but Hazuabs, he's looking for some murder here. Nick is going for Azerite. Azerite should fall. No, Nick does not want to die to the damage over time of Lunara, and Hanzo stops chasing Breeze, as this will still be Dahaka clearing out the Garden Terror in top lane. Overall, Granite Gaming finding some decent value with this Garden Terror phase, but here's the thing, they still have 2 dead on the side of Granite. What siege can Oxygen find?
Yeah, it's 2 for 0 there. They are likely going to get the rest of this middle fort for Oxygen, and it's going to basically even out the macro of the game. You're going to have 1 fort to 1 fort in the mid lane to the bot lane between Oxygen and Granite. I'm very surprised that in that last fight that Poik was able to kind of peel off Nick. I really thought that that was going to be an easy double kill for the Genji, but again, I like to see Poik playing aggressive like that, being able to actually force him back just with damage, peeling him off with just damage alone. No CC between the two of them there. I like to see that a lot, because I thought that might have been a 4 for 0, not a 2 for 0, so I'd like to highlight again just Poik playing mechanically very, very well. Even if they do lose that fight, he did very well in that. And he definitely stopped what could have been a potential monumental teamfight loss had they lost 4 members. That could have been an entire keep loss. That could have opened a whole win condition up for Oxygen.
And that's, I think right now, it's also just trying to make sure that Oxygen doesn't get ahead, because, yes, the map is favoring Granite Gaming, but we have a seed spawning here in the top center of the map, and if this is grabbed by Oxygen Esports, how much value can they get out of it? We saw a fort that was already really low in bottom lane fall. We saw a top lane fort go down to the side of Granite Gaming with the Garden Terror siege, but also the thing too is Oxygen doesn't need to prioritize this whatsoever. They can give this one if they don't feel like they can step in, and they might just exactly do that and just rush for 20.
Yeah, it's probably the optimal play for Oxygen to just give this. If they think that they're the same skill level as their opponents, just giving this and knowing that they're going to have a chance to fight at level 20 for an objective just makes more sense. So if Oxygen does step up to fight for this, it's kind of just saying that we think we're better than you, we're going to just outskill you, we're going to skill check you, and if you fail to skill check, we're going to win the game even earlier than we should. Because they do have the option to just wait for level 20. You see them looking for lots of stalls over the wall.
Yeah.
Not sure if they're going to be able to continue to just stall permanently, but at some point Granite Gaming is going to have to force them back with their range damage and start playing to poke them out. They do have one advantage in the Malfurion over the Anduin, is that he does have a little bit better sustain when you're playing at these kind of mid-ranged skirmish type fights. But yeah, Oxygen just continuously trying to stall here, trying to get level 20 with their Dahaka. They might actually be able to get level 20 before this is even capped, unless Granite Gaming is able to force the fight.
I'm looking at it right now. I was watching Dahaka. He cleared up the Siege Giants in bottom lane and was continuing to soak and push up these waves, which is great because if the wave is pushed up, that's where the Garden Terror is going to be spawning. Nick is putting pressure onto Wubby, who's a little far forward. Azure does have some heals, and with Dahaka constantly applying pressure through bottom, they're going to try and gank him, but he's got that movement speed. He moves at 138% movement speed when he does tap a bush for 5 seconds. The double haunting wave from Quacknix to chase in, but you just don't have the movement speed. You don't have the damage, and with all of that, that allows the Hanzo, I think it was Hazuabs, to be able to grab the channel here. That's a point-blank Blessed Shield, X Strike, there's the bunker, oh my, just everything but the kitchen sink to try and kill Wubby, because dang, they wanted that kill. I mean, Blessed Shield, arrow from Hanzo, Light Bomb, you also had X Strike. I mean, you dang near almost used everything except for Isolation, which is just crazy to me that they still didn't get the kill. A great bunker down from Blaze.
As long as Granit doesn't lose anyone right now, they're actually unbelievably happy with this. The defense that Wubby just had there by trading bunker for literally every single ult besides the isolation on their split Dahaka was huge for Granit Gaming. They're down 20s. This should be, on paper, a keep at least. So if they don't get a whole keep for Oxygen with their level 20 advantage with the plant objective, absolutely nuts defense by Granit if they're able to hold that based off of that play by Wubby.
Wailing Arrow did come out from Sylvanas. There was the double Leap of Faith from Anduin with that Glyph of Faith level 16. Bad Benny having to pop a lot of buttons right there as Nick goes in with the Light Bomb. The X-Strike once again has the Living Weapon, looking for that cooldown reduction. Protection with the Deflect as well. Breeze pops the Avatar to get some decent damage. Nick is so very low. Bad Benny has like no mana for all of this. The Garden Terror in bottom lane is still pushing in. The Iron Skin popped at the last second by the Joanna. The level 20 blinded by the light. I cannot believe that Bad Benny is living with no mana and like no HP, but Genji continues to go in onto Wubby. Dear Lord, Justin.
Yeah, it was very back and forth. That was a roller coaster of a team fight. And Azurite being unable to get into the bunker there at the end did spell his demise. I can't help but feel that this game on paper goes completely different if Granit is, or if that Malfurion is an Uther. I don't think Oxygen can play the game into Granit's comp. But Azurite being on the Malf is just such a target for Oxygen. You can tell in these team fights, they're always just looking at that Malfurion, constantly trying to take him down. And again, he does fall in the fight, and that might be kind of what breaks open the game here for Oxygen. Is just their game plan of just kill Azurite on Malfurion. All he has is the bunker. If it's not perfect, he's just gonna get deleted. And Oxygen in 8 seconds is gonna have that Dragon Arrow. Let's see if they look for a combo.
They went for the X-Strike light Bomb. A bunch of buttons are being pressed right here as we also have the Wailing Arrow coming out from Quacknix, landing onto everybody. That's massive. Leap of Faith, but it's not going to save the Dahaka. Bad Benny trying to back away. That is Genji going down. Bad Benny will fall, and it feels like this bottom lane engagement was just a little too long. You know, I believe Sun Tzu said something about crush the Malfurion indefinitely, and it feels like Oxygen can't do it at times.
Yeah, 3 dead for Oxygen, an insane turn by Granit. That arrow, the Wailing Arrow coming out from Quacknix, that was absolutely huge. Silenced the entire team of Oxygen. And the way that Oxygen's comp works is that they need to use all of their ultimates to secure a single kill. And we saw how against just Wubby, that one kill is enough to kind of completely, or that one bunker was enough to stop all of it. And there they fought before they had the Hanzo arrow. They're actually they're positioning to go core here, which they might be able to do it. They have 20-second death timers, and they're playing, they've done this before. This is a veteran team that has ended many games on huge stages before, and look at how they're positioning. They're positioning away from Asuabs, away from Yasu. They're not playing for kills. They've already made the call. They're going for core.
The shielding has been broken. We're dropping down to 80% and below. We have the respawn onto Copen. What can they do? The bunker's down from Blaze. The bunker finds a lot of damage, but it will be instantly cleared out. That's going to be an arrow from Hanzo that connects onto the backline. Quacknix is getting very low as Lunar continues to dump damage into the core. Poik is falling very low and will go down. 60% of the core will remain as Breeze is trying to get the damage into the core. 2% will remain. One auto attack is necessary, and Breeze just narrowly takes map number 1 for Granit Gaming.
The Skullcracker by Breeze. I think if he didn't have Skullcracker, they might have not won that game. My Murden would have lost that game because I would have had heavy impact at level 7. well played by Breeze there at the end, being the lone dwarf, the little dwarf who could. Poik living as long as he could on core. That call though, the shot call to just go for core with 3 down for that amount of time, unbelievably brave. That was basically perfect to finish the game. That was there was not a single overkill there. That was probably about 1 damage. Like the core died and checked his death recap and was like, oh, 1 overkill, huh?
Yeah.
And that's the way the game ended to Breeze Murden.
Insanely close, and Grubby, I like. Whew, welcome back, Grubby.
Yeah.
that was a game number 1 that ended. It was 2% core or it was 2% breeze. Like, it was who got auto attack first. That was absolutely wild to kick off our first map of the day.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I didn't know what to do with my emotions watching that one from the sideline. That one deserved to be screamed out. What an insane core call there. Like, I was watching chat and chat wasn't sure if they could do it either. You guys were mentioning that it was an experienced core call from the past, going straight for the core, and my god, it really came down to the 1 or 2% there. That scroll cracker comment that you had, Justin, super apt. Pretty impressive, because let's rewind a bit back to the level 19.5 versus level 17 moment. In that moment, it seemed like Oxygen was just toying with Granit. They could have absolutely let that seed go. Instead, they decided to stall very confidently. Here you had one of those dragon arrows on Sylvana. She gets targeted. She manages to get into the bunker, but gets retargeted. Not before she manages to lose a wailing arrow, so Quacknix gets that. Then massive Copenhagen value, gets that Brush Stalker, Burrow, slow, disengage, stealth thing, the overloaded kit of that talent. Then Genji with the chase. And Malfurion had a massive target on his back, like you guys were mentioning. Back in the past, Malfurion had Ice Block, and they mostly played all of their games with Ice Block, this team, back when they were competing. But not anymore, so he becomes a big target. But look at that, Emerald there on Genji. Malfurion looks fine, he looks safe. Granit Gaming goes on the counterattack. This was really sick, how everyone survived. Johanna, Bad Benny gets away there. X-Strike, suddenly Malfurion is dead. Bet he didn't expect that, from full life all the way to nothing. And in this moment, it's level 20 against 19. You guys were mentioning 1 keep at least should be the expectation here, and 100% agree. But a little bit of a foible there with that. Am I still there?
You're still here. Yeah, you're still here.
Okay, because I saw the loading thing
no
on
worries,
the,
no
on
worries.
the replay.
No worries.
What do you mean?
We all saw that?
Yeah. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Okay, no, I'm just paranoid now. Normally I would pay attention to it.
I can understand, Grubby.
In that moment, 20 versus 19, 5 versus 4, it had all the makings of maybe getting 1 more kill, getting a keep at least, and maybe the core. But what's impressive is that objective that they had fought for and that they had defended from level 19 onwards, that was supposed to get a keep. And the expectation was that they would get that keep. And not only does that not happen, but when Genji went in there with the light bomb right at the end of that replay, they didn't really connect. That one didn't really work out. They were maybe trying to get Breeze on Muradin, didn't work out, and then that big turnaround call, and they just go for the core. I don't know who expected this, but it was not I.
No.
That Granit Gaming would take the first W here against Oxygen, guys.
No, I honestly didn't either, and it's not like it's not like a bias thing. It was like looking at the drafts, I really did think Nick could get in the back line, shut down Azurite, and that was going to be kind of the Achilles heel of this Granit Gaming roster, and I think that's what also Justin was kind of alluding to when we were getting into the game, and we did see that quite a bit, but a few failed attempts, well, I mean, critically, 1 failed attempt was kind of the nail in the coffin for map number 1. Fantastic, though, seriously, fantastic turnaround from Granit Gaming here, Justin.
Yeah, the just being able to make that core call is kind of nuts. That was completely down to the wire. So I think that might be the addition of Quacknix. We did see crazy core calls back in the day on Fnatic and Dignitas between these teams of just super close core calls. We used to have the Tyrael Sanctifications onto the core, where I remember one game of everyone just hiding in a bush, just waiting on battlefield, and as soon as the team went up to the Immortal, they all ran past and just went and Tyrael Sanct on the core and just 5v1 to the core. There's been a lot of history with these players and doing crazy core calls, so seeing it work here was really cool. The failed play onto Wubby in the top lane was really I think that was the critical moment that kind of gave them an opportunity to remain in the game for Granit. So well played by Wubby. It kind of felt like it's like who would win, a light bomb, an X strike, a blessed shield, or one bunkery boy. And in that case, the bunkery boy came out on top and absorbed all of those cooldowns, which kind of bought them a whole minute of time. And then when their cooldowns came back, they weren't quite all... They weren't waiting. They had like 8 seconds to wait for that last engage before they had Hanzo Arrow. And they went just before that. If they wait 8 seconds on Oxygen, they might just end the game there. So, good taking advantage of that, though, by Granit.
It is really, really, really strong play coming out from Granit Gaming. We'll see if Oxygen can match. What I do also want to point out is we've got some strong support from our community. Thank you, everyone, for donating towards the prize pool. Very much do appreciate all of that. We are nearing $7,000 because of your support, so thank you, everyone at home. But let's go ahead and find out where we're going to for map number 2 in this Best of 5 series. It's going to be Granit Gaming choosing to take us to Towers of Doom as the members of Oxygen have opted in for first pick priority. Some stats on this map for anyone wondering. Towers of Doom for the members of Oxygen, they have played this map once and they've won it. The side of Granit Gaming, they've played it once and lost it. But we're early season stats. We can't really, you know, hold on to those too closely. But of course, Grubby, who doesn't love some Towers of Doom?
The people that lose it with like 1 point left on the enemy core.
Did you start your therapy sessions for Towers of Doom, Grubby? Have you started that segment yet? I could be one of your first clients. I'm willing to be a guinea pig for this.
Yeah. Well, there's one moment that I'll never forget, and it's kind of like old trauma. Maybe you can start it first, and I can be your first client because you know, psychologists always have their own baggage too. One time we had won the game. It was like 5 versus 2 or something, or 4 versus 2, and anyone could cap the altar. Anyone, and we were about to cap the altar. So I figured, hey, I'm nowhere near the altar. It doesn't have to be me. So I take my Malfurion, I walk over the tower line, I get cannoned to death, which is funny. It's like a BM suicide. And then I look back, and my 3 guys aren't capping the altar. They were chasing like the other one dude all the way away, and we end up losing the game. So was it my fault or was it theirs? I don't know. All of us, I guess.
I mean, my whole mentality is never trust your teammates, even if they are your good friends and you're all in comms together. But
No. Always trust them. Never give up hope.
Never give up. Never surrender. But of course, Justin, we're here on Towers of Doom. Any stories? I'm just kidding. No. What are your thoughts here on the draft that is unfolding? First pick, Blaze to Oxygen.
Yeah, the Blaze comes out for Oxygen. We've got the Lucio and Junkrat standard bans from Granit. That's good. They know what their second bans should be. The Hogger is still available, but Dahaka has seen a little bit more priority than the Hogger in the last day. So I'm curious if that's actually a transition that all the teams have made, or if that was just within the teams that we saw yesterday. We see the Lunara picked up, which that priority makes sense. Sylvanas has been banned away, so Lunara is kind of the stable ranged here. And yeah, we do see the Dahaka prioritized over the Hogger, so Hogger priority seems to be falling out just a little bit. Just a week ago, it was Blaze and Hogger traded in the first rotation of picks pretty much every single draft, but now we're seeing a lot more Dahaka in the last day of games, so it's cool to see how much the meta is shifting in such a short period of time.
Well, it's obviously because Vipey created the Dahaka graphic for this weekend, so all the players are just trying to highlight the hero that we have on the launcher and on Twitter.
That hero exists.
Thank you, Grubby.
Probably. I got you, man. Dahaka, he's alright.
Jonah Tychus Blaze, though, Grubby. I really, really like this for Towers of Doom.
Yeah, so the Tychus Johanna pick together kind of says we want to make sure that our Tychus is effective. Traditionally, one of the counters to Tychus had been Johanna because of the double blind and really supersede that minigun duration. Now it says, which tank do you guys dare to throw at our Tychus, knowing that you can't get these blinds? And of course there's Mei. You can go Snowblind build Mei, but she's a little bit less survivable than Johanna in that she doesn't have that point and click movable unstoppable. She has an unstoppable, but it's stationary. It's easier to follow up on for the opponent. So there are a couple of ways you can deal with this. You can go for Stitches. Stitches does get completely obliterated by Tychus on melee, but because Tychus is relatively short range usually, and there's also the Odin that you can telegraph a hook off of, Stitches can be good. With Malf, you've got the follow-up. But no, they're gonna go with Tyrael. Okay.
Tyrael? I'm
always kind of
I like Tyrael, but I'm always kind of like, will it work out? Because it's such a hard to execute hero, Justin.
Yep, Breeze definitely one of the best, though, and unfortunately this is not going to be another map where we can see that Tyrael sanked on core, like I mentioned, because it is going to be Towers of Doom, where you can't really kill the core in that way, but We do have another sort of most likely sustainy composition coming out from Granit, but the hammer is picked. They banned the Anduin. Fatal error potentially coming out from Granit, not banning that hammer. We will now finally get to see the Nick hammer, and Brightwing being picked up last pick feels wrong to have a Brightwing picked here. Oxygen's comp right now seems to just be 4 S tier heroes and a Sergeant Hammer, which may soon be even greater than an S tier hero, as we'll see how strong she is in the meta, but I'm suspecting that Hammer is going to be extremely high priority as the season progresses, as more players begin picking her up and learning her.
I agree. I can see the draft chat in Yasu after getting the Anduin banned against him goes, well, there goes my healer pool, obviously. But Justin, while we still have you for the few moments here while we're loading into Towers of Doom, any takeaways? Because I feel like you're kind of alluding to, you know, Sergeant Hammer might be the critical factor for Oxygen to win, but anything maybe Granite Gaming can do to counteract this hammer with the draft they have?
So they do have the Chromie picked up by Poik, and Poik was kind of known for Chromie back in the day, so there is that at least. Poik was he was one of the best Chromies that we had, so I'm excited to see whether his Chromie will be able to actually counter Hammer, as that is a historic matchup of Chromie typically was the best Hammer counter, and you would normally have to ban Chromie when you would pick Hammer. It used to be that if you first banned Chromie because she was just strong, that would mean that Hammer was available. So you do have the Chromie into Hammer, that's good, but you do also have a Tyrael as your tank, which is no CC. Typically you need some kind of CC tank that's easy for the setup on the Chromie spells, because it's very, very hard to just hit those with no setup. You have Malfurion, again played by Azerite, which should have a much better time this game than last game, as it's not a dive composition coming out from Oxygen. But if they have Falling Sword as well, just the amount of peel for the Sergeant Hammer should be nearly impossible. I don't really see Granite Gaming winning any fights outside of Poik popping off on his own on Chromie, or just a completely insane bait with the Sanctification. But there's really no reason to overextend if you're Oxygen, so Oxygen's comp looks insane.
Well, thank you, Justin, as always, for the analysis, and we'll see what happens here, because on the left it's Oxygen, on the right it's Granite Gaming. We sit 1-0 in favor of Granite Gaming. We get into our mid lane engagement. I'm looking at an Oxygen win. I like the hammer. I like what they can do here. We'll see if they can roll it back and put up a 1-1. But, of course, Grubby, we got you in the mix here for the cast, and, of course, got to get your thoughts as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Breeze's Tyrael because, well, he can get that talent where you can teleport in with the Q, throw the Burning Sword, teleport in, get armor, do some damage and slow, and then you go back again, teleport out. If you take the double teleport at 13-16 with the burning, or without the burning, but anyway, double teleport, that's going to make you a lot safer into Tychus, but it remains the question how you are going to enable your team. Is this going to be a Sanctification? It doesn't feel like a Sanctification draft because you've got two fairly artillery-ranged backline damage dealers via Chromie and Lunara. Sanctification traditionally, especially in HCC times, had been used a lot to enable melee compositions like Imperius, Kerrigan, Illidan, Sonya. So you sanked on the battlefield and the melees walk in, they have low survivability and high burst, and now they're safe. But if you look at the Tyrael-Malfurion combination, we don't see that being intentionally recreated very often anymore. But that is kind of a combo that really, as long as you place the Sanct well, can make really good use of a complete regeneration. Think of a complete restoration to the entire team, where they're invincible and now they're getting free Malfurion Tranquility without the ability to get bursted down. So maybe that's the combo they're going for here. Starting off of a sustained battle with Lunara and Chromie, and then resetting the fight, Sanct and Tranquility.
Poik getting shredded in bottom lane as Grubby just kind of looked into the future and saw how exactly this game is going to go. Bad Benny landing Condemn after Condemn. Actually, if level 4 was already hit for this and Bad Benny did take the Subdue, they would have actually finished it out with one of the Condemns earlier. But that is going to be that level 4 picked up, and maybe Bad Benny's feeling like he can be able to finish out that level 4 very, very quickly. Looking at the double soak rotations, Wubby's going to go for a drag, lands it onto Blaze. There's a lot of damage from Quacknix. Copen getting low, tries to back away, gets the phase shift from Brightwing as Breeze is now body block, gets hit with a Jip Repulsion. Bad Benny with the pull, there's going to be the kill, and First Blood goes over to the side of Oxygen Esports.
Breeze going down, if I'm not mistaken, he didn't go down once last game as Muradin.
Correct.
Now, a pretty much less survivable tank here in Tyrael. They try to make a play. with Dahaka and Dinara. Tyrael came to the aid, but he became the new target here of Blaze. Nice bump there by Copen. Tyrael will fall. Now, going into the triple altar phase, who will get that coveted, contested arena conquered for themselves? Will it be Oxygen or Granit? Who will get the first 4-point lead, Bahamut?
Well, the first 4-point lead, technically, I'm just kidding. Well, actually,
oh my god!
Good night, HeroesCCL. He is going to be taken down. Dahaka and Blaze trading out on those altars. But yeah, Breeze gets the channel, and that's going to be 8 shots into the core of Oxygen Esports. Granit Gaming taking the lead.
Yeah, technically you're right. Granit Gaming took the first 4-point lead, and now they took the first 8-point lead too. I see what you were doing, but very mature of you to try to let it go, but I got you. So, Nick, unable to do what we saw Unaverted do on Alterac, which Nick also likes to run in Storm League, and as I haven't seen him run this in CCL yet, what they like to do is to go for basically a solo lane push with Hammer, using the healing, the hover siege, and the big splash damage from level 1 to gun down forts. Instead, Nick will be part of the 4-man here, despite being up against Chromie. A lot of people are afraid of this. I still feel, as playing a lot of Hammer, that Stukov is the biggest counter to him. I think Chromie is a problem, Junkrat is a problem, but I think Stukov is a bigger one. I might be alone in that feeling, but very obviously here that Oxygen and Nick are fine running this into a Chromie. Let's see how it goes. Big 5-man fight here, both of the solo laners joining. Dragtongue misses for Wubby. That could have been a sweet kill, but he already goes back to the lane, so this is Granit saying, all right, we're not going to invade anymore. Nor did they go for their own sapper camp during this. They tried to have it all and take point on the enemy side, on Oxygen side. Now they won't be able to easily get their own anymore.
Single altar phase will be coming up. We're pre-10s, so just going to be seeing actually what happens here, and we'll jump into comms a little bit later and hear how the teams are getting along, maybe when we get into some of those explosive team fight moments. But here, with the zoning of Nick, Yasuo is hearthing, but the assumption is there will be a phase shift available. It's instantaneous onto Bad Benny. There's a root, there's a sleep. HeroesCCL has to dash away. Condemn from Joanna. Breeze is low. Boyka is going to be able to tap well. Some healing over time, as that will be the level 1 from Chromie scouting out HeroesCCL. No one able to step into this. Nick with the zoning, as well as Bad Benny. Good play from Oxygen as they equalize. Parity found on Towers of Doom, map number 2.
8 points apiece, like you said, with both of the solo laners going back to their double lane rotation. Now the question is, with Granit Gaming just having level 10 ever so slightly quicker, can they take this sapper camp despite the very obvious presence of Oxygen right outside their front door? The answer seems to be yes, and now I'm going to be very excited to see which heroics will be picked by Granit Gaming. It is going to be Sanct Tranquility, so it is that restoration combo, the invincible restoration. Let's see how strong that is going to be.
I remember an old matchup back in the day when there was actually Sanctification. I believe it was also the Divine Shield from Uther to be able to get a channel onto the altar. Great Sanctification, Breeze utilizing that to make sure he doesn't die.
Well, technically, it's great that he got that off without dying, right?
Correct,
but
yeah.
It didn't enable anything. It was more like a panic use. It was there was a Blessed Shield use, so trading a small cooldown for a big one is a victory here for Oxygen and for Bad Benny. He had no choice in the matter, but it wasn't the full resto combo yet. Now, there's going to be a 35-second deficit where we don't have Sanct yet, but Blessed Shield is exactly back. That's interesting. Can you imagine a world where Bad Benny had an internal clock knowing that that moment in particular was a Blessed Shield moment and he would have it back exactly when the objective got spawned? Or maybe it was more of a feeling thing and he didn't, calculate it out. But it almost seems too perfect.
Some good intuition. Let's actually listen in to Oxygen Esports, hear how they're getting along for this objective phase.
Yep.
Oh wait, I don't have ult now. I have it now actually.
I already. There's a...
Come.
No, play slow.
Play around Hammer.
Shield for track.
Play around objective. One with me. Okay, I will just click. Yeah, I get it. He did burrow.
As much push as possible.
Odin is useless, sadly.
I will use all my mana in base. I have Z.
Chromie just spawns.
Okay, stop.
I pull on.
We do camp, I think. Yeah.
As we jump out of comms, we got to hear a little bit of what they were saying. You heard Hazoab's going kind of, Odin's kind of useless. So good initiation. They shut down the Tyrael, I believe it was, and that just allowed Oxygen to get another channel to another objective phase. 32-28, but Grubby, the fight might break out. Ooh, that's a... I don't know about that.
Do you like that
sanctification.
sight?
No, that one I don't like. That one I don't like. But I do like that Bless Shield.
Nice Bless Shield on Lunara, nearly going down. Trying to blow her up there, but Hammer, sadly for them, was not available yet. Yeah, so a Sanct to take the Sapper camp. While we are not a huge fan of it per se, there isn't anything else going on yet. 65 seconds, with the objective not being announced yet, means that we are looking at a 20-second or less deficit where the ult isn't available when the Sapper camp, when the altars become available again. So not too bad of a timing for Breeze to burn it. It is a 20-second window. And this is a typical trade objective, but if a fight breaks out in the next 30, it could be bad not having that. We're finding a lot more opportunity to use Sanct than we're using Tranquility. I don't think we've used it yet.
I don't think so either. It's been a lot of Granite Gaming stepping up and kind of utilizing the heroic unnecessarily in a sense, but let's actually talk about the engagement that does continue through the mid lane as Ironskin will be popped by Bad Benny. Wubby looking for another drag. The drags have not really been connecting this game for Wubby as Yasu will get the channel on the left, Wubby with the channel on the right. Maybe a dive onto Lunara, a grenade
Well, they
from
missed the Bless Shield. The Bless Shield went way wide, about 90 degrees off course. They thought she was going to juke in the different direction. So a one-for-one trade. They do steal the Sapper camp, and now we're going to maybe see a little bit of a siege push into the bottom tower. Meanwhile, Johanna gets time trapped, but has unstoppable, no problemo.
Does have the, I believe it's the chronic, or the time trouble, so it's going to be armor reduction to the enemies by 15, armor buff to allies by 30. Nick is going to be trying to apply some pressure, does manage to get the fort through the bottom lane, and now this is where the Sergeant Hammer zoning feels so hard to step into. You've also got the Commandeer Odin with Hazoab's dumping in annihilation after annihilation to zone back the enemy, and we sit at a 4-point deficit or difference.
Yep, we learned Odin Q is called annihilation.
I learned it from you, and I will never forget now. Grubby, Grubby, when Diablo has a little icon underneath his body, what does that mean?
Yeah, learned that from you. He's got 100 souls. He's ready to respawn.
And what about Junkrat? What if he has a little smile underneath his icon? Do you know what that one is?
Total mayhem. Critical damage or stun leading to grenades under his body, even if he doesn't die yet.
See, we learn together. We learn together. Just like I learn a lot about Sun Tzu from Justing.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot about crushing the enemy indefinitely and never backing down. Always initiating. It's like when you
Sounds
play
like some Ender's Game methodology there. Level 16 advantage here for Oxygen. They're trying to defend the bottom tower, but it looks like Granit will be able to break through. The question is, will it be on time? With 10 seconds left, this might just be a situation where Oxygen forces a 2 versus 1 victory on the outs here. Granit is determined to take this down. They need about one more Dragon Breath and one more Sand Blast to take it down. Meanwhile, Nick is just killing mid-fort. Oh my god, it's so oppressive.
Yeah.
The Odin and Hammer sieges here.
Literally the entire time while they were skirmishing in bottom, Nick got in, I would say 99% of that fort. I think the minions might have finished that one out, but still, that was... It's like that dream when you play these old school specialists, Asmodean, Zagara, Sergeant Hammer. You go into a game and it's like, the enemy hasn't rotated on me in 2 minutes and I'm just getting their entire fort front gate. Like, that feeling of no, it's... And right now, look at us at the top of our screen. Nick is just floating around. They could dive onto Nick, but instead they're going for this invade on the left-hand side from Granite Gaming. Sanctification used to mitigate a jet propulsion as Azerite in the backline is getting dove on by this Joanna. Azerite pops the Tranquility, trying to stay alive. Breeze looking to back away. That's a phase shift from Yasu. Good heal on to Bad Benny as the jet propulsion will be coming through. The bunker down from the Blaze. Point getting low. We have another channel on the left-hand side going over to the side of Oxygen Esports, who are starting to just chunk damage into the core of Granite Gaming.
Yeah, Oxygen just got 10 points out of the 2 altars, and they're even making a play for this third one, the zoning power of Sergeant Hammer. Along with that, poke damage mitigation of Brightwing, the effect that she has. Yeah, Wubby dropped real low. it's making Hammer a real force to be reckoned with. And look at this gleaming confidence. Oxygen is going to continue to poke. This reminds a lot of the Garden of Terror game, where they are confidently stalling.
Yeah.
And remember how that game ended. We'll see if that confidence will be rewarded this time, because Nick is going for the bottom altar while they're making aggressive overtures nonetheless on the top right altar.
And this Commandeer Odin is going to be one of the many delays. We have the oil slick down there as well. Bad Benny has some shield glare. I mean, this is actually a wraparound to maybe look for a blessed shield flank, because that is off a cooldown. Double shield glare. Breeze steps in. Does have the double teleport. I'm trying to see if the Eldruin's Might is out, and I actually don't see it, so it doesn't look like he utilized it as an initiation. The mid lane bell tower gets reconverted to the side of Granite Gaming, and Sergeant Hammer gets about 50% of the fort in bottom lane, as we do have the channel from Malfurion.
Yeah, Hammer didn't have enough mana to fight with Whoopi. Whoopi also did a burrow into Nick's Sergeant Hammer, just to dodge the most likely timing of a Concussive Blast knockback. Nick didn't have mana for it anyway. Concussive Blast is the most expensive spell on Sergeant Hammer, with 80 mana. So, yeah, that... but it was a good timing by Whoopi, just saying. He came to the defense of the bottom fort. Now a little bit of stabilization here for Granite Gaming. They have been bullied a bit, something fierce across mid and bots and the altar. But now, actually, as the dust settles, they're just 10 points behind and less than a level. It's a lot less than what it seems like, what it feels like. The amount of damage and abuse they've had to endure in the last 5 minutes, you would think they'd be more behind.
Exactly. When you take stock of it in reality, yeah, it's like it's only 10 points, which, you know, that could be 2 altars depending on your bell tower structures, or it could be 3 altars that you need to channel as well.
Oh, please.
Opens looking for the slows. There's the jet propulsion. Druin's Might gets him out of there. Wubby looking to land a drag. Will connect onto the Sergeant Hammer. Nick is getting very low. There's going to be the Lurker trying to bop back this Sergeant Hammer, who gets inside the bunker. A tank inside of a bunker. Very interesting right there. This is Bad Benny stepping up with the Iron Skin. Pops the Condemn. Also looking to drop in some of those Blessed Hammers, spinning around from that level 13 talent. And 20 talent tiers right around the horizon. And it feels like Granite Gaming are the one who are kind of in control of the objective phase positioning.
Yeah, they're trying to create an aggressive perimeter around which Oxygen is not allowed to encroach. However, this was born partially of desperation. Not just capabilities, but desperation, because level 20 is reached.
Yep.
That is the call for Granite to pull back. And just do the maths here quickly. 4 plus 4 plus 4, is that 14?
No. Yes.
But 5 plus 5 plus 4 is that top tower is actually leading to a potential win condition here.
Yes.
They've got Granite Gaming down to 4 points with the boss available. Oxygen might try to end with that. However, they're going for a more safe play, going for the triple tower conversion. They will need only 30 seconds to win the game unless the top tower gets taken back.
Top tower is being worked on already by so many members of Granite Gaming. I don't even think we get a single shot from the Raven Lord into the Gravekeeper. Boss is a threat, and someone's going to check it. Chromie will utilize her level 1 Time Walker's Pursuit. That does give that vision. We've got some sappers available here. Next objective is bottom of the map. Single altar, bottom. And I wonder, is Granite Gaming considering to take boss off the map? Oh, Bad Benny. Ooh, this is okay. That's going to be a Soothing Mist from Yasu. Bad Benny popping the Iron Skin, also utilizing the level 20 Blinded by the Light, as we also had a Sanctification already used. Nick has to boost out of there. There's a Jet Propulsion onto Azerite, and that also is Tranquility from Azerite here.
Yeah, Granite Game is just using everything. They're like, fire the missiles! They're just trying to use everything, Sanctification and Tranquility and whatnot. Drag Tongue, Isolation, and almost nothing was used by Oxygen in order to defend against it. This was Granite trying to make something happen fast to prevent that really difficult dilemma of 6 sappers bot, boss, top. Maybe another conversion of the top right tower, which would lead to a barrage and the bottom objective. Like, we're in a nearly impossible situation.
2 sappers go over the wall. Wubby cannot clear out the 6 sappers in time. Bad Benny is going to set up in the anchor position on that Joanna. When I say anchor, you can see over there, he's on the right-hand side. That is basically, he can step forward and pull back the enemy who's trying to step in, anchoring as the main tank. Breeze dropping low. Nick is also low on the left-hand side. Wubby trying to speed his way into some sort of engagement. Big red button chunking onto the enemy. There's the blinded by the light by the Joanna. She'll get cooldown reduction from her shield glaze. Bless shield goes out, not connecting onto the enemy whatsoever. As the polymorph onto Breeze will turn him into a pig, but the jet propulsion from Copen connects onto Azurite. The channel from Yasu. Can anyone step into Yasu? Not just yet. Breeze goes down, or excuse me, Wubby goes down. Breeze trying to step in, gets back with the Eldurance Might. Another Storm Shield from Bad Benny. That blinded by the light, level 20. And Breeze tries to get the explosion on someone, can't connect. We do have the Chromie falling as well. Lunar will go down. A lone Malfurion tries to get away, but the jet propulsion confirms the 5th kill. And ladies and gentlemen, Oxygen Esports, they equalize on Towers of Doom. A beautiful play, Grubby.
Yeah, very, very well played here. The Terran style by Oxygen, going with Thors and tanks was certainly a clever play here on Towers of Doom. It worked for them. When siege is what you need, you go for siege tanks. And having more of the altars really allowed Oxygen to control the battlefield conditions in a great way. No healing fountains, no fallback point. This was a 7-1 in kills. A very low takedown game, but a very high tower conversion game. And Nick is sitting pretty there with that siege damage, the hero damage, and that lovely 0 death.
Well, we got to get Justing back in the mix. Are Terrans better than the Zerg? Because we had 3 Terrans just now beat 1 Zergy boy, being Dahaka.
In this case, that's definitely true. Yeah, Wubby did lose that fight, that 6v1 against the Sappers. He did have to let 2 of those go in, which was a bit surprising. That was slightly mismanaged by Oxygen at the end. They still had to play to win a team fight, where they could have potentially set the map up so that they could have won just through macro and set up a checkmate position. They were unable to do that, so they did have to win the fight, but I think their composition just basically wins at pretty much all points in the game. We saw the early game, all Oxygen was looking to do was have Blaze just play in the top side permanently, while the other 4 members just deathballed through bottom. So unlike when we saw Unaverted play it on Altric, the hammer wasn't splitting quite as much. It was more of a team effort. It was more of, we actually need to protect the hammer, and I think the main reason for that is because we did have the Chromie on the other side, where Chromie is what I've coined as the sort of a goalie where you can't really siege into the lane that she's in, and Hammer, well, Hammer can basically siege into basically anything. The Chromie is still enough of a nuisance that it's difficult for her to do it by herself. So we did see kind of like a struggle to push through bottom, but what really kind of broke it open for Oxygen was that one pick onto Poik in the bot lane, that kind of around the objective, they got the kill onto the Chromie, and as soon as they get the kill onto the Chromie, they understand that that's kind of the thing that's stopping them from sieging. So as soon as that happens, they're immediately just pushing through bottom. They secure that bell tower, or the keep. They get the belt, they get the fort in bottom, and that kind of creates just a whole momentum shift across the map, because the whole time you had Blaze just pushing through top, who is slowly whittling away at the top fort as well. And teamfights felt very difficult. Breeze was getting bullied quite a bit at the start. You could tell that Quacknix on the Lunara was playing a little bit strange around the Hammer. He was sort of going around Hammer to try to flank into the backline, because Tychus actually became sort of the main target for Granit in those fights. And there was really no lockdown. I'd mentioned this in the draft too, that both compositions are sort of playing just a front to back, out sustain, kind of whittle away at the opponent playstyle. But Sergeant Hammer and Tychus just do that infinitely better than Lunara and Chromie. There's just more damage on that side, and they also had better protection too. You had Brightwing that just has better sustain healing for everyone overall. You have Johanna that has a bunch of utility to help protect her teammates, and with the level 20 she had the shields, she just was invincible. She has the blinds, she's just super self-reliant and peely. All of them kind of just, you have the bunker too. It's just, they would have had to massively outplay on Granite to win that game, and we saw just how annoying Sergeant Hammer can be. If you ever leave your forts for just a second, Sergeant Hammer can kind of single-handedly just split push and kill an entire fort by themselves in a very short period of time. So I'm expecting to see Hammer banned going forward in pretty much every game of this series at least. But Sergeant Hammer just does not seem like a balanced character, if I'm being completely honest. Both times we've seen it, it just has felt completely ridiculous. No other ranged hero does what Sergeant Hammer does, where it can just show up to your fort and just kill it. And if you're not there, it just dies. And it just feels kind of ridiculous.
Used to be able to, right? But not anymore.
Yeah, now she's got to have a cooldown on that, and she can kill a bit of it, but it's nothing like what Hammer does. It feels pretty ridiculous what Sergeant Hammer does right now.
Well, we're in the middle of a great series here. We got Oxygen and Granite Gaming both up 1-1 in the best of 5, so we got a couple maps guaranteed at least between these two teams. We are going to take a short little break. I did see that our donations did tick over $7,000, so thank you all so much at home for supporting HeroesCCL and pushing that prize pool further along. If you would like to push that prize pool even further, maybe we can hit even 8K today. You can use & prize pool in chat to get yourself over to the Matcherino if you would like to donate. It is very much appreciated, all the support you do bring to the table. We're at $7,025 because of your support, so thank you once again all at home. But as I mentioned, we're going to take a short little break. When we come back, we're going to get into map number 3 of Oxygen Esports versus Granite Gaming. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name's Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing. And as we were discussing in our little bit of a break there, we are going to get Logan on stream for you a little bit later. So continue pushing for that prize pool. Maybe we can hit 8K today, but we do appreciate all your support as we are in the midst of our first best of 5 of the day, Oxygen versus Granite Gaming. Things are really starting to ramp up. And of course, Grubby, what's up?
If we reach 8K, we'll have Springy and Logan do a high five on our webcam frames.
You heard him
if
here.
If you can get Springy.
! Prize pool. I want to see you rush for 8K. I want to see 2 adorable little furry friends high five on screen. That'd be beautiful. We can get that all for you after the break if we can hit that 8K. So I believe in all of you. But let's go ahead and find out where we're going to for map number 3 in this best of 5 series, and then we can continue talking about pets after we find out where we're going. We don't have to talk about draft or anything like that, but we are going to be seeing Oxygen Esports choosing to take us to Tomb of the Spider Queen, as Granite Gaming has opted in for first pick priority as the losing side. Justing, Tomb of the Spider Queen, is it Springy's favorite map?
Oh, it sure is. As soon as you said that, actually, I see her coming over here. She's walking over. She's just jumped on my computer, shaking my webcam.
I can see the webcam going.
Yeah. Yes, Springy loves Tomb of the Spider Queen. It's also one of my favorite maps. I'm excited to see it picked because we don't really see it too much lately. We have been seeing a lot more of the big maps recently. So I'm not entirely sure why teams are prioritizing these larger, more macro-focused maps, because for me personally, my favorite maps are these small maps, and it's weird to not see it picked so much. We were just talking about that before the broadcast too, that all these like little maps like Tomb and BOE, we haven't seen them that much. Teams aren't playing them very often. Yesterday we had our first BOE game of the season, so not sure what that is, but I like these tiny maps. I like the fighting. I like the constant just chaos everywhere. The big maps, it takes a while to get from one side of the map to the other side, but on Tomb you're kind of constantly on your toes in the rotations. This map has, it lends well to things like Tracer and Lucio, the mosquitoes that kind of just are going to be, or the fruit flies, whatever, that are going to be just hitting you in the rotations permanently where they don't allow you to rotate. Things like that. Genji kind of does the same thing. Stuff that just disrupts rotations is extremely strong on this map, and things that function as goalies are also super strong on this map, where they can just shut off sieges, especially with the fact that you have to siege into multiple lanes to get value during your objective. Things that can kind of just put a stop to that are super strong. Things like Tassadar, we don't see anywhere else, but we might see it on Tomb.
Yeah, this is also a fantastic map for Cho'Gall. Look, I didn't mention it yesterday, so I get one free one, but I do think this is one of the best maps where you can bring Cho'Gall, because it's just short rotations. You can go Superman build here, Justing, with the Surging Fist constantly on your Cho, but of course all these teams are cowards and won't play Cho'Gall, so we probably won't even be able to see it. But what we will see is Lucio and, of course, Junkrat bans, as that's exactly what I was expecting. Any thoughts here, Justing, or excuse me, Grubby, as well as we're getting through a couple bans?
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, what are the top 3 favorite tanks to be picked here on Tomb of the Spider Queen? And I gotta say, probably Johanna for the wave clear smoothness and the interrupts with the double blind. Stitches, perhaps, for a very scary tank pick that can abuse many of the walls around the bruiser camp, the boss, perhaps the paying point. And Johanna is actually getting removed by Granite Gaming, so that makes a lot of sense. They felt the value that Bad Benny was able to imbue that hero with. And besides those, Johanna and Stitches, what do you think, Justin?
I think Diablo is really strong on this map. Murden is okay, but there's nothing really special about this map for Murden. Diablo likes this map because pretty much no matter where you are, there's always going to be walls around you. The map is you're almost always fighting in tight chokes unless you're in the middle of a lane. So I really like Diablo quite a bit, being able to kind of just always have a wall to crush the opponents into when they're trying to rotate, when they're trying to turn in. there's a lot of small chokes on this map for Diablo. And there's a lot of globes. If we saw more Devil's Due, I think he really loves Devil's Due on this map. You always have a tap if your forts are available, pretty much anytime you're fighting over the objective. And there's just globes everywhere, basically, because the lanes are so close together.
I mean, Stitches, as you mentioned, is great. You can build up the baseline health as well as your movement speed. It doesn't get played very much, but I think like Alexstrasza, Stitches, Mephisto is such a great trio that we never get to see, because Mephisto, he can take trait talents at 4 and 13 that give cooldown reduction on base abilities or heroics. Alexstrasza can spawn regeneration globes for the Mephisto and the Stitches. I'd really like to see teams utilize this, because I think it's a super strong combo, but I know Alexstrasza can be a little bit on the weaker side, since she just kind of puts a giant circle on the ground that's like, here's where my healing will be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like a giant, you're painting a giant target on the ground. So there is that counter factor. But of course, Grubby, there is a nice goalie, as Justin calls them, in the Stukov for Granite Gaming.
Yeah, the first non-Malfurion pick for Azerite, who has been newly awarded the healer role here. Mostly he was DPS, but SMX is not here today. Quacknix has entered the backline carry role, and that has moved Azerite to healing, apparently. So he's played Malfurion twice. Now it's going to be Stukov. We got a very strong synergy emerging here with Leoric's Entomb into a silencing arm. That may even mean that Wooby does not go buried alive at 20. He still may, but perhaps he doesn't and goes for the continuing to last 4-second Entomb instead of the 3-second buried alive, and that's going to give him the possibility to maybe spec into the draining build where he has 40 armor, the burning despair, big AoE damage. Hammer gets removed as you guys predicted. She probably won't be allowed to be played anymore. They had actually followed other people's Sergeant Hammer bans against Oxygen, but they wanted to feel it once. Now that they have, they never want to feel that way again.
And the members of Oxygen were setting up for a beautiful hammer composition. You've got Chromie Urel, which are great kind of assistants to Sergeant Hammer and just denying anyone to step up. Chromie with Artillery, Urel with Righteous Hammer. But Justin, I know you got some thoughts as well here, as we've got 2 more picks from Granite.
Yeah, a very defensive team comp setup right now by Oxygen between the Chromie, the Urel, the Anduin, and the Muradin. You have Urel being able to just permanently have the hammer up with the slowing sands, just super defensive. I'm not sure what Nick will be playing in this composition. Typically, you'd see something like a Vala here, or we have seen him play Cassia in the past, so Cassia would be kind of the default. You're expecting Oxygen to play like a slow front-to-back, sort of just poke away at the opponent's style composition, whereas Granite, I'd like to note that they banned the hammer even after picking up Stukov Leoric, which seems like about just as good as it gets for trying to actually take a hammer down. You wouldn't be able to Z out of the Entomb and then having that underneath. Okay, it is Tychus picked up, so just more sustain damage, but it's a little bit more close range, I suppose. Chromie and Tychus together is a pretty good combo just because it allows you to both kill tank and backline. The Tychus percent damage really complements Chromie with that burst damage that doesn't really do too much to tanks. But you do see ETC picked by Breeze. That is kind of the weird thing of this draft. I really like that a lot. We don't see ETC very much because he's so squishy, but in terms of just CC and the amount of disruption that he can create, ETC might be the best with his base kit. If he was as tanky as something like a Diablo, ETC would be just completely broken. So there's a reason that he has that kind of downfall, that weakness in the squishiness. If they're able to kind of if ETC can kind of just create space for his backline to hit the enemy front line, then their composition should win for Granite. If they're playing just a straight front to back, if Breeze is patient with his slides, they should win, as long as they're able to sort of stay out of range of the Tychus. The Tychus is kind of the big downside to playing this front to back slow style composition of Oxygen. They don't really have quite the same range that Granite has. And at level 20s, I think Granite's composition is a little bit better if we see the Drain build from Leoric. So I'm excited to see how the game progresses, but late game is going to be super important for both these teams.
Well, thank you, Justin, as always, as we've got Oxygen in the blue, Bad Benny on the Muradin, Hazuubs on the Chromie, Copen on the Urel, Yasu on the Anduin, and Nick to play Tychus. On the side of Granite Gaming, we got Wubby on the Leoric, Poik on the Hanzo, Quacknix on Lunara, Azerite playing Stukov, and Breeze on the ETC. I really do like the draft for Oxygen here. I think it scales extremely well. I think there's a lot of great control with the Urel as well as the Muradin. The ETC is a little bit of a... feels a little weak to me here, Grubby. I'll be blunt. He doesn't feel like the tankiest of tanks. Want to get your thoughts here as well. If I'm not mistaken, Grubby, didn't you play an ETC game like right after CCL last night?
Yes, I did, and it was one of my few losses. Recently, I just started to try him again because I wanted to try something off meta, and I wanted to get a feel for why he's not really picked anymore. Went 5-1 with him. Did lose to 1 last night, so 5-2 now. Sag. And yeah, I think it's perfectly described when you mention that he has amazing utility. He can really split the sea with his face melt, and power slide is a nice, reliable tool. The armor helps him, but outside of the armor, he's weak. So you just need really good judgment. And I think Breeze probably kind of has that. But when you make a mistake, you're extremely fragile. Nothing like a Murden or Diablo that makes a mistake. So when you play very well, I think he's just as good as most of the others.
Okay.
And I'm curious to see if Granit can pull it off.
Well, we'll definitely have to see that. And of course, Grubby, did you have any other thoughts? Because I kind of jumped the gun and was asking about your ETC. But if you have any other thoughts about the drafts here, too.
Yeah, I was pretty interested that Quacknix went with a Lunara because the game before it, Oxygen banned Sylvanas and Falstad in a presumed attempt to counter Quacknix's hero pool. He then went to Lunara, which felt like his third best then in that case, but now he first picked it without Sylvanas getting banned out at all. And of course, this is a hard map to get some serious Sylvana pushes in because it's such a small map. It's essentially just slightly bigger than an ARAM map. So it is interesting to see that Lunara coming out. Didn't work last game, but they were against Hammer. They clearly feel like he is comfortable enough on that to make it work here. And yeah, I think Granit probably has a small little bit of a draft advantage as well.
I could see that, absolutely. Their wave clear is pretty strong. You've got that goalkeeper, the gatekeeper. You've got that Stukov, who does really, really well, as we're seeing it right there. Leaving the lurking arm in front of the gate. You either have to pass through it or just wait for it to expire. But of course, on the opposing side, you got Grenade Poke, you've got Stormbolts from Bad Benny, you've also got Chastises from Yasu, so we'll have to see how things unfold. I think 10 is going to be extremely telling as to the direction of how things will be going team fight-wise. And I also want to point out really quickly, we do have the Neil Peasants for the Leoric, so a little bit extra clear onto minions and monsters.
Yeah, Neil Peasants is going to give him a much better ability indeed to clear those spider web weavers. And it makes sure he's got his Q available again quicker if a team fight breaks out soon after he's wave clearing. As the CDR always procs even when you don't hit a hero. Now, let's see who gets the first gems turned in. We're hitting the 40 gem mark. Bruiser camp counterattack now happening. Small little lead for Oxygen for now. They're probably getting a little bit more siege damage done here on these towers at that bottom siege camp. Meanwhile, Nick nearly going down to Wooby. Wooby gets Nick down to 260 HP in the bottom lane.
Good drain as we go back into mid. We will see the power slide from Breeze coming through. Copen getting a little bit low. That low blow was picked up by Azerite at level 1. 100% extra damage to enemies that are below 50% HP.
Low blow is really strong. Boyk is up to 16 stacks already on his scatter. Nice. We have Breeze's ETC going up to 10 globes in 4 minutes. About average. You can have more when you're doing extreme globe farming. But if you're doing your tank duties, you're going to have a few fewer. Gets 2 on this wave.
I like the reverse chase from Nick now onto Wubby in the bottom lane. It's now Nick who's chasing the Leoric back in bottom as the Stormbolt will connect onto Poik. A Chastise there as well, but unfortunately no follow-up damage connect. Actually, Chromie Hazuabs does get a Sandblast and finds a little bit of damage onto the Hanzo, who's dropping down to about 50%. Gets the healing pathogen from the Stukov, trying to spread that around. Oh, wait, Dwarf Toss in. That's going to be some decent damage onto Breeze, who also gets hit with the Chastise. And I'm just looking at the Scatter Arrows. Poik just continuing to get some Q damage out with the Storm Bow.
Nice. There's a bit of a different rotational setup here for Oxygen, because they have Urael top, because he doesn't like to be against Leoric. Hold that thought. Temporal Loop on ETC. There's a Chastise. There's a Stormbolt. That's Temporal Loop. That's Chromie's Power Spike, right? Reaching level 8. Getting that heroic early. Getting the Temporal on ETC. ETC's fragility has been punished for the first time this game.
And realistically, what's going to stop Temporal Loop at this point? There's no bunker, there's no massive cleanse. I know there is going to be the abolished magic, but I don't think that mitigates Temporal Loop, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. It will not stop temporal loop at all. I wonder, would that work if you hit it perfect frame on the very final frame of it?
Ooh.
I'm not sure. I mean, it is a single time removal of CC effects, but it doesn't work on temporal. And there's no grace period of un-CC ability. Instead, it reduces CC abilities by half duration. And kind of relentless is how that used to be called. So it should not work on temporal. And Stukov doesn't have it, so there's no real solution for Chromie's loop.
Yeah.
And if ETC had been a Diablo, he has Soul Shield. If it's Janna, he has Iron Skin. But ETC has nothing special there. Perhaps he can spec into Stage Dive and Stage Dive away from the temporal.
You took the words right out of my mouth, but at the same time, it feels like if that was the case, it'd be the same thing as like taking Sanctification to mitigate 189, like we saw in the last game with the Tyrael. Like it would feel that exact same, where it's like self-serving in a sense, rather than something that can assist the team. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens here, because here comes the Commandeer Odin, 10 talent here to the side of Oxygen Esports as the Righteous Hammer goes out onto Breeze. He's going to get hit with the Temporal Loop. There's the jump in from Copen and another kill. That's a lot of gems to be dropped, if I'm not mistaken, from the ETC. Actually, no, maybe I misread that completely. I thought he had quite a few gems to be dropped, but either way, mid lane fort will fall.
Mid lane forward going down. ETC again getting demolished. He goes for Mosh Pit. Okay. Mosh Pit can get interrupted by Leap of Faith, Light Bomb, Tychus Grenade, Temporal Loop when interestingly timed, I suppose. And maybe level 20 Seraphim, Yrel with the jump and then the hammer. Maybe max range hammer. Then there's Stormbolt. There's quite a few interrupts. Interesting to still go into Mosh Pit, not Stage Dive.
Oh no, Bad Benny is going to jump in with the slow. He's got the Piercing Bolt, the cooldown reduction, more gems to be dropped by Wubby. We're going to get an arrow narrowly connecting onto Hazuabs, who's able to back away. That's a Leap of Faith. Now, the turn-in is going to be happening in the bottom portion of the map. Do you want to get into some Oxygen Esports comms?
Do you want to do Granit? I know they're... Oh my god. Well, hold a thought.
I'm going to hold back
Let's hold off a little bit on the comms in general. Is this a deja vu? We've seen this before. ETC once again in the middle of all of them. Getting Yrel bopped, getting Sergeant hammered. Sergeant hammered. Muradin hammered. Wubby, your gems!
He went in to pick up the ETC gems that were dropped, and that's the reason Wubby actually fell right there, is because he was out of position picking up the gems, then Wraith walking away, and That's unfortunate right there. But I will say this. I completely missed this. I actually assumed that the Web Weavers went to Oxygen Esports, but Granite Gaming managed to get a sneak turn-in. So there is a little bit of a kind of a delay. This is a Web Weaver phase that mostly is defensive to stall out the enemy, but still a solid chunk of lead and experience. 6 kills over 0. Oxygen Esports, they're finding their stride here in this best-of-5 series, Grubby.
Yep, and this was a big risk fight, Bahamut, for Granite, because if they win it, their Web Weavers will do so much damage. But if they lose a couple, and they lost more than a couple, they're trying to make a play for Yrel. Hold that thought. Wait for Yrel. Quick enough on this absorption. Nope.
Absorption Defender with the Divine Steed, the Hand of Freedom, the Dauntless. I mean, Yrel is... Here's the thing, and I'm sure people at home are just like, why can't my Yrel be just like Copen's or Liam's or something like that?
Good question.
There's a level of finesse that goes with it too. It's like playing Muradin, for example, like Bad Benny's Muradin. You can dwarf toss in and make all these plays, but if you don't have the follow-up damage, if you're not communicating with your team to have that backup healing or assistance or damage, then obviously you're going to dwarf toss in and die. Or as Yrel, you'll Avenging Wrath in and die. So there is a difference. It's not pick the hero win. There is levels of finesse, rotating abilities, keeping your armor up on Yrel, having your Hand of Freedom ready to go and self-applied. These little things make huge differences as the Web Weaver phase comes out for the side of Oxygen, but a Temporal Loop pulls Wubby back into the spot. 12 gems to go down the drain.
Damn, Chromie's feeling kind of good here in Hazuop's hands, in Oxygen's hands. All those easy escape tools that Leoric has completely going to naught. Just Temporal Loop on the end of his Wraith Walk. Pretty damn sick. I think Leo has to go into Ominous Wraith. That way his Wraith Walk lasts long enough to remain unstoppable during most of the loop. Can still be counterplayed, I guess, if you just loop later.
Bye.
Oh boy! Wow.
Hanzo's dead. That's a lot of the wave clear actually mitigated. Quackness is really the other main wave clear. I guess you also have Wubby, but he's currently trying to fight Nick as we have the fort through bottom to fall. Wubby, once again, way too far out, will go down. He can cheat death, but still, that is experience gained to the enemy side. And as I look at the experience breakdown between these two teams, it's a 6,108 difference in just heroic kill experience. Overall, we're looking at a 10,000 deficit in favor of Oxygen Esports, who are going to guarantee a keep through mid. Will they back off for a boss? Will they look for more camps? Only time will tell.
There's an arrow into Urel. She doesn't even know what hit her. Like, she just keeps walking. She literally thinks she just stumbled on a pebble. Like...
It's like when you're walking down the street and you don't notice there's like the crack in the ground, so you trip over it and you look around for a second like, wait, what did I trip over?
Yeah, who did that? Like, nothing. Okay, well, let's just
aliens.
Must have been the wind. As they go for the boss now, Oxygen looking absolutely dominant. 90-0 in kills. Man, and we thought Granit is going to do well with this draft, but Oxygen says, no way, Jose. Let's temporal loop the ETC. He comes back in again. He gets rooted by Anduin. This time Stormbolt just misses the mark. Mosh pit, grenade, light bomb, and it's a disaster for Granit.
Granit goes to try and poke at the boss enemy, or the enemy team on the boss, and it's going to be a kill onto ETC, a kill onto the Stukov. A turn-in availability is here for Oxygen Esports as well as boss. We could see boss plus turn-in here as Bad Benny and friends will back away. Now, Grubby, I want to talk about this, or maybe we can have Justin talk about this after the map, because this feels like a massive draft blunder on the side of Granite Gaming. And I know I'm not the most professional drafter in the world, but wasn't Urel and Chromie picked in the 1-2 from Oxygen Esports? Didn't Granite Gaming know that Chromie Temporal Loop could have been a thing throughout the entire draft? It feels like a massive blunder to say maybe they're going to go... it feels something went wrong in the draft. Like, no cleanse?
I agree with you, but I have to be humble here and say that Justin and me, we were both saying this looks like a pretty good draft for Granite, and we can't scroll back now and say, like, well... obvious draft loss.
No, of course. It's just now that we're seeing it, yeah.
I see it how Justin was saying it, and I'm seeing it how you're saying it now. Like, yeah, of course you can't counter Temporal Loop when you have no cleanse against it. Even Lunara's cleanse doesn't help Stukov's absence of a cleanse because it has no grace period. But this game could have gone differently if Granite Gaming was steering the boat. If they decided where to go, and if Temporal Loop lacked the critical damage amount to get the kills, if we were on equal levels, or maybe one level lead for Granite, would that have been possible with the draft that they have? I think so, yes. So it's just, Oxygen is just playing better, sometimes hard to accept, because we try to find like rational reasons for why the draft is a problem or whatever. No, Oxygen is just owning.
That's a flank attempt from Granite Gaming, but it does not work out whatsoever. Breeze goes down once again. Quacknick's looking for the leaping strikes. Boss plus Webweaver's on top lane. Keep Wubby shall go down in the top of our screen, as that's Urel and friends looking to defend. It's Hanzo, Hanzo, Lunara, and Stukov to defend right here as Boss arrives towards core and Nick already applying damage. The Webweaver in top lane below 50%. The Boss just approaching 50. A huge arrow will connect into Nick, but it doesn't matter. Tychus laughs it off, shrugs it away, and ladies and gentlemen, the members of Oxygen Esports will be taking map number 3 on Tomb of the Spider Queen. GG. Well played. Maybe I'm being hypercritical, Grubby. Maybe I'm being hypercritical.
Well, actually, I think you are right. It is exposed now, but it was Oxygen that exposed the weakness.
True.
And I also think you're right that maybe, team players, pro players, are generally better at analysis than us. We're here casting, we're doing our best, but like maybe Granite should have known that this was going to be a big issue. And had anyone asked, hey, wait a minute, what are they going to do against Temporal Loop without an active cleanse? Then maybe that would have been a hard question to answer. But you only have so many seconds to think in the draft. Granite Gaming decided to go for this idea here. They have synergies. They can do Arrow into Stukov Arm, into Power Slide with an Entomb, and so on. It sounds good. But Oxygen just laid the smackdown with their draft, with their execution. I don't think I saw any Temporal Loop combos miss.
No.
Great frontline play from Murd and Urel, both going with the jump, slow, stun combos and whatnot. Anduin never missed a chastise. GG.
GG indeed. Now, of course, we have to get Justing back in the mix here and kind of break everything down. I mean, does Granite Gaming smell what Oxygen is cooking at this point? Like, it is terrifying.
I think it's them. I think Oxygen is cooking Granite right now.
Fair.
I think what you talked about with the draft, I think a lot of it does come down to execution still. Having the ETC and not going stage dive there feels just objectively wrong to me. I can't see an argument for Mosh Pit in that game. They have Tychus Grenade, they have Light Bomb, they have Urel, they have Muradin, they have Temporal Loop, they have infinite interrupts for Mosh Pit. I don't think Mosh Pit is really made for... It's such a niche use case now in the game. There's so many interrupts just on all the meta heroes right now. You have Tychus with Grenade on a ranged, like, which is something that you don't typically... which you didn't really see back when ETC was really in the meta. So you have all these interrupts, and also you had talked about using Stage Dive as a potential dodge on the time loop, or the temporal loop from Chromie.
Yeah.
I think that would have been ideal. Being able to, if you have the option to have the ETC with Stage Dive to self-cleanse the temporal loop, and you have the Leoric with the Wraith Walk, if they played it perfectly, I don't think that it should have went like that at all. You had 7 and 5 deaths, respectively, on the ETC and the Leoric, and the rest of the team had 1. So it was pretty clear that they were sort of just farming the front line on Oxygen. And if you have a Unstoppable for the Temporal Loop from the ETC, and you have an Unstoppable from the Leoric, that really shouldn't be happening. Neither of them should be a target ever for the Temporal Loop if they're playing perfectly. So I wouldn't say that it was exclusively a draft error. I think it really was that Oxygen was just pressuring them so hard that Granite Gaming wasn't really able to make those adaptations, wasn't really able to play as safe as they would have needed to. It felt like maybe there wasn't enough restraint shown by Breeze on the ETC, and just a lot of just aggression constantly coming out from Hasuabs on the Chromie, constantly looking for those opportunities. We saw immediately, as soon as he hits level 8, he snap engages onto the ETC, immediately temporal loops him, and that kind of starts the beginning of the end for Granite in that game. And that game just looked like Oxygen playing as a perfect team versus Granite Gaming really just being all over the place. It felt like they didn't know what to do after they started falling behind. There was that one big moment where they just staggered. They finally get their turn in, and they just stagger deaths over and over and over again, and it sort of just felt like the whole map was chaos for Granite, and Oxygen was just in control of it the entire time. So right now, Oxygen is just looking very well-oiled. They're looking super strong, just really, really good teamwork coming out from them, and Granite definitely looking a little bit scattered, and I can't help but feel that a lot of that is because they do have a new player in Quacknix playing, and Azrite having a whole role swap to support. Those aren't easy things to kind of immediately mesh with a team with. It's not something that you can just kind of instantly plug in and be like, we're the best now. We just have a player who doesn't play support normally, who's learning the role for the first time, and we have, you know, someone who hasn't been on the team playing with us. So there's a lot of, you know, growing pains, I'm sure, for Granite, but Oxygen looking extremely strong, carrying it over from week 1, still looking quite strong.
And we'll see what Oxygen's able to do in the next upcoming map, because we know where we're going to for map number 4. It could be the final map in this first best of 5 of the day. We are going to be looking at Alterac Pass, a map that we have no information on either of these teams for, so it'll be Oxygen choosing to take us here, as the members of Granite Gaming have opted in for first pick priority as the losing side. A great map to go to here, Grubby. Excited to see what the Cavalry can do from either Vandar Stormpike or Drekthar.
Yep. Alterac. Interesting to have Oxygen take us there. Sergeant Hammer is very good on this map.
We did see
Hogger is good on this map.
Yep.
We haven't seen Hogger yet. We could see more Dahaka, obviously, has been fairly highly prioritized. Blaze is very good here. Anubarak is a little better here than others. But we haven't seen as much Anubarak, and I kind of get why. Had a couple of drafts recently where Anubarak felt a little weaker because enemy team has like a ranged assassin like Greymane or Vala, and he doesn't really like dealing with that. Additionally, Anubarak doesn't like going up against 3 melee usually. We've seen a little bit of that yesterday in some of the drafts with Chitty Mountain and Storm, where the double ranged backline that is mostly meta gets replaced by a triple frontline instead, and then Anubarak is like, okay, who do I cocoon and who do I blow up? Because I'm not sure that we've got the reach to blow someone up under those conditions. And then Anubarak can suddenly feel really squishy.
Oh, we'll have to find out what's going to happen here. We got everyone in the lobby. We are about to get into the draft, and so I'm super excited about this. It should be very, very fun. Overall, though, Justin, like, I'm a little nervous about Granit Gaming. I'm going to be blunt here. I'm a little nervous about Granit Gaming. They started today out with a fantastic Garden of Terror game, really kind of punishing the moment that Oxygen overstepped. But after Towers of Doom, things looked a little like Towers of Doom started good for Granit, and then it kind of really fell off post like 16-ish, maybe even post 10. And then that last map, it just felt rough for the side of Granit Gaming. Is this like a slow decay? Is it the map? Is it an outplay? Like, any thoughts here? Because it feels like Granit Gaming is kind of starting to kind of slow down in the momentum they built at the start of this best of 5.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Oxygen has all the momentum at this point. Granit Gaming did look pretty shaky in that last game. It felt like there was it sort of felt like they were almost talking about what to do in the next game during that game. It felt like they had kind of recognized that, hey, maybe with the draft and the talent choices that we have and with how far behind we are, that this might be doomed, might be better to preserve our mental rather than try to delay it for 10 more minutes and still potentially lose if they don't think that they can win in the late game. So it definitely felt like they kind of fell apart there, that was sort of the unraveling of Granit in the last game. And I'm hoping that that's because they were just focusing on preparing for the next game and what they should be doing, recognizing their mistakes. We do see the Hogger and the Sergeant Hammer banned out right away, not wanting to go up against an early Hammer pick. They did try the Chromie as a counter in Towers of Doom, and that did not work for them. So understandably, banning out the Sergeant Hammer, I believe we will see much more of that in the future across the teams. Hammer, every time we've seen it now in those 2 games, has just looked completely ridiculous, even into the Chromie as a counter, so not a huge surprise. That does leave of the dynamic of the Lucio and the Junkrat. Lucio is available now. Granit Gaming did ban Lucio previously from first pick, which made me think that maybe they just didn't play it as Azerite's new to the role. So Azerite playing Lucio, a little bit strange because we didn't see it earlier when we could have. So I'll be curious to see how comfortable he is on that, as it is a new role for him. And Blaze Johanna from Oxygen, just very, very strong first 2 picks coming out from them. Oxygen drafting very reminiscent to the style that 30k did in the last season. Just really, really picking the meta things and just being very good at them. That seems to be kind of the motto for Oxygen, as we do see the Anubarak that you talked about earlier, picked up by Granit.
So now I'm wondering...
Yeah, please.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just literally going to point out we got Sylvanas or Quacknix again, so that could be big. But of course, Grubby, I actually wanted to poke your brain as well.
Yeah, with Quacknix having the possibility between Sylvanas and Lunara, he goes with the one that have given them the only map win so far on Garden of Terror. Sylvanas, I like it. Lunara, I just checked, has 3% lower win rate than the average in Storm League, Diamond, and Masters. I'm actually not 100% sure yet what the win rate is in CCL, but we've seen a number of losses now with her where her reach and damage isn't as good as some of the other assassins. Sylvanas, I like it a lot. Both of these are excellent siege pushers. Anubarak and Sylvanas, they enable pushes whenever you have a superior numerical advantage in heroes represented in a lane. Now I'm curious to see if Oxygen will run double backline, or if they're going to go indeed into the triple front line and asking Anubarak to play into a triple front line where he may struggle. For example, Nick could go for Imperious last pick, or Kerrigan. No, I maybe don't love that into Lucio, but it could be an Imperious last pick. Hazu maybe takes Hanzo now. Yasu maybe goes for Anubarak, for Anduin. And then you... Oh, Rhaegar Lunara. Okay, we got Rhaegar Lunara coming out. So we have 2 cleanses now. Anubarak has a lot of CC, so 2 cleanses, nice. And then will it be Imperious last? That's what I'm curious about.
It's a very good point. I mean, speaking of cleanses, you got Bunker from Blaze, Iron Skin from Joanna, Abolish Magic from Lunara, Rhaegar Purge baseline, as you were mentioning. You could go for the Purification at level 7, which we have been seeing Simplicity players take. I think that was Wishing has taken that quite consistently. I think that's actually might be the only player that we've been seeing take that level 7 on the Rhaegar. But okay, a barrel coming through here, Justin. I'm a fan of Chen. You know, he's a fun character. I just enjoy Chen. I love a barrel. We probably will see Stormwrath and Fire. But of course, one more pick coming out from Oxygen. Could be the final pick from Oxygen, as they could take the series. But of course, any thoughts here on the draft or who could win as we get this last one from Oxygen Esports?
Another very strange comp coming out from Granit. We have the Genji, which we've seen quite a bit now from Oxygen coming out. Well, they don't have the Hanzo arrow to set it up that they have previously. So it's going to be a lot more on probably Bad Benny, which I'm expecting to have the Blessed Shield coming out to sort of set that up. The Chen is weird. We don't see it very much, but I mean, he does have, I guess, Keg for boss control on this map. The boss is relatively important. He does have the option to go into Storm, Earth, and Fire, but I think that might be a little bit rough into things like Blaze and Johanna that have just so much AoE control. Even the Rhaegar totem, if we do see the totem build, is going to be making that quite a bit weaker. And Breeze on the Anubarak, not having too bad of a time into Genji. It's not really the strongest auto attack based hero to kill him. Same with Lunara, mostly magic damage. So we've got pretty easy time for Breeze overall, honestly. The side of Granite Gaming looking quite tanky into what Oxygen has drafted. I'm not a huge fan of seeing Lunara and Genji on the same team. They don't really do any tank killing, so fortunately it's only a Nubarak. It's not the tankiest. But Chen, Wubby might actually be in a position where he can carry the game alongside Poik, just due to how tanky he will be. And Poik, one of the best Li Mings we have, so I'm excited to see him playing that. I think it's just comfort for him. We'll see if he can pop off. Otherwise, Oxygen should be able to take this.
Alrighty, well, we got our teams here. Thank you, Justin, as always, for your analysis and breakdown. And we are going to be seeing, on the left-hand side, Oxygen Esports, and on the right, it's going to be Granite Gaming. And for funsies, let's go ahead and jump into Granite Gaming comms right at the start of the game.
Insta inte, vi är assi alltså.
Vad händer?
Oj, dags.
Då tar vi dem.
Jag har en 6 i midlane.
Vi skiter i första waven, va? Vart ska vi?
Ja, jag går topp.
Pusha
Vad gör vi med pandan bort?
Det är en blaze här inne.
Sheesh.
Ja, de har en liten virre.
Där var han.
Okej, vi fejkar background, så går vi.
Ja, gå med.
Nej, de kommer inte vara här. Gå tornet. Döda.
Lätt Lunara.
De har ju virre, de har wisp.
Aha, den är i bortpusken.
Ja, men någon måste ta mid.
Jag fixar. Jag är snabb som fan.
Sille, så är snabb som fan.
Okej, vi sticker. Vi kommer aldrig få någon push mot blaze. Eller du kan kasta lite.
Nej, fanns det inget kul att lyssna på.
Vi kan döda
jag kastar.
Pusha lite mina.
Alrighty, Grubby, as we jump out of those comms, heard some key critical words, side lane, top lane, Lunara, so maybe, I mean, my guesstimation is maybe Granite called for a late potential top sort of cheese with Sylvanas is my best guess.
Well, they were there, so they would have liked to attack towers, yes, and they got a bit of damage, but not more than they sustained themselves in the mid towers. So I'd say that was very well defended by Oxygen and counterattacked. And I do like to remind people that mid towers are more important than top towers in this game, as they are the ones that stand sentinel to defend the null pack marauders that are getting capped right now, for which Oxygen grabs it a little bit quicker. Let's see how that plays out. We also like to remind people that sometimes when you take the null pack camp early, it is not an advantage immediately. You start the timer earlier, which is nice, and if you then take it again earlier after, it can be really nice. But let's see how this pans out. I actually think it will work out. The nulls arrive on the towers before the defensive nulls are there, so this is going to be tower kills. Oxygen actually with a huge lead.
Yeah. This is massive for Oxygen taking down this front gate, because the other thing too is slowly pushing through this mid lane, as Grubby was mentioning. Not only is you have the null pack that reduces armor of enemy heroes and structures that are sieged into, but also if you take down the mid lane fort, that means the well will fall, and the fort through mid feels like a very strong anchor point for teams, because your objective phase will always spawn in top or bottom. As you can see right now, it'll be starting in the top, and that anchor through the middle, or that well through the middle, is a really quick rotation out of the team fight. Tap well, get back around your objective phase. So taking this down early can give you a strategical advantage in the macro sense, and then that also amplifies your micro, your team fighting around set objectives, because the enemy has to back off further. But we'll continue to see what happens here, as this is going to be a big slow from Bad Benny with that subdue at level 4. We'll have to see what happens here. Prison location's opening up in the next 17 seconds.
Got a bit of a special build coming out of Nick here that we used to see, but not much anymore. It's been mostly Shuriken Quest, going for the full E build. I wonder whether he will grab E at 13 and 16 as well. 16 being meta, 13 not so much anymore, usually Shingan. That E build, when you line up enough targets, you can actually draw lines through the enemy team repeatedly with the CDR, but you must hit like, I don't know, 3 to 4 heroes?
This is not the easiest. I was a little I was a little distracted because I was watching the Li Ming in top lane getting chunked by Nick. Like,
Yeah.
you can actually see Li Ming's health bar around a third HP, slowly actually getting back to around a quarter, but Nick was putting the pressure onto this Li Ming, which I very much like. Another null pack grab by the side of Oxygen Esports, this one being delayed out by Wubby a little bit further out, so the tower shots do rain in onto the null pack. But now, if we drop down our camera here, Wubby getting slowed, Yasu and Hazuabs dropping this Chen down. And I wanted to
It was
look
so
at
good, actually.
Yeah.
Because Chen wanted to head bot, and Copen was already killing the bottom wall. Massive advantage to Oxygen at this time. They have 4 towers down already in just 4 minutes of gameplay.
This is good. Good momentum for Oxygen. We do have that deadly strike at level 4 for the Chen, which synergizes extremely well with the level 1 freshest ingredients because of the shielding duration being increased from level 1, and then you get increased damage while you have shielding from your brew with the flying kick. So Wubby going to be looking to dive into the back. If I'm not mistaken, if memory serves me right, I feel like Wubby played like a Chen with flying kick like ages. Oh, no. I'm thinking of Glaurung back in the day, because Glaurung would talk to you about it in an interview. But all that aside, Rhaegar will fall. He did go for the purification at level 7. And the reason this is really, really cool is because you can, if Purge removes slow, stun, root, or silence affect an ally, you also heal them for 301. You have a passive of the cooldown reduction of 15 seconds, so you have a 45-second Purge, but also Purification now allows you to utilize the Purge on an enemy, dealing 452 scaling damage to shields and reducing healing received by 40% for 2 seconds. Could be a good way to mitigate some of the amplification of Lucio's Amp It Up healing.
Can be very nice indeed. Meanwhile, we have Oxygen trying to stop the altar from the objective from channeling. It's about 12 seconds. You pause it when you channel it, but you only interrupt it if you complete the channel.
Azerite.
Oh, Azerite!
Good bite to the butt from Yasu. That's a trade, though, onto Hazuabs. Bad Benny sidesteps the Arcane Orb from Poik, who's going to get very low here, but the Haunting Wave from Quacknix forces Yasu to start wolf running away. We do have that null pack in mid, though, still pushing in here. And look at that, minus 20 armor on the mid lane fort. Yep. That is physical and spell.
Yeah, that's it's just straight up minus armor. It's great. Everything does bonus damage on it. We'll be getting attacked here. No way for him to get back. Genji, every solo laner's nightmare. As Oxygen protects their objective with 2.5 seconds left. Trade 1 for 1. And they get a lot of siege damage in. Oh,
that was Bless. Okay, Breeze got hit with Bless Shield as well to try and lock him in place. Hazuabs with the channel. Grubby, like... we've been using the word momentum, but I think that is just the carrying word in this series, because it started great for Granit after that win on Garden of Terror, but man, oh man, after that Tomb of the Spider Queen game, the members of Oxygen seem to be firing on all cylinders. They are just, they want to take the series on Alterac Pass here. They don't want to go to a map 5, and it shows. It really does.
It really does, and also keep in mind that even the game that Oxygen had ended up losing was... Oh, Dragon Blade! He hits him with the Wailing Arrow.
Okay, that's good. No, that's not good. That's not good.
No.
Hunting Wave was used
they get the
early.
objective.
Okay, alright, so trade. We are going to see Drekthar's cavalry arrive through top, bottom, and mid.
Keep in mind that even the game that Oxygen ended up losing, the Granit ended up winning, they were 3 levels down, and Granit kind of took it in like I don't want to say a throw, but they took it back from the jaws of defeat. They snatched victory. So if I'm Granit and I'm analyzing my games, up to this point, you're 2-1, but really I'd analyze it as a 0-3, because you can't rely on the kind of comeback that you got on Garden. Bless Shield is available, so that you had the quick pre-cleanse by Azerite. It was not used yet. Bless Shield is still available. It's a 5-man attack here on 4 members. Let's see, is Bless going to come out? There's Ancestral Healing.
Connects onto the Blaze, the bunker's down from him. He gets the Jet Propulsion connecting onto 2. Cocoon onto the Genji will be cleared out quite quickly by the bunker from the Blaze. Wubby pops the Wandering Keg and starts to split Yasu and Bad Benny from the team, but it doesn't matter. Copenhagen is going to be jumping in with another Jet Propulsion, looking for the damage. Now Bad Benny, not a lot of HP, no mana, pops the Iron Skin. Ancestor Healing was used already, 74-second cooldown to that. Bad Benny trying to back away. The Black Arrows from Sylvanas will lock down the tower, so Bad Benny cannot retreat to that path. Yasu trying to run away on the top right of our screen, or on the right side of our screen, and will be going down. A double kill to Granit Gaming, as they could go for boss through top lane. They've got a massive wave already here, and will confirm the top lane fort.
That is crazy. It was just Oxygen was winning. Genji wins the 1-on-1 against Li Ming. Mid tower's gone, bot tower's gone. but all throughout it, Granit held sight of the bigger picture. They were able to get the objective despite small losses. Ignoring the small losses may not have been easy. In fact, I'd be pretty tilted if I was at that point. Losing such easy value early game on the towers and whatnot when you are the one that has a Nubrak Savanas. And although they're still down in level, Granit is pulling back.
Oh no.
They've got the first... No. Oh, Wandering Kick is available!
Yeah, that's why I said oh no, because Wubby's setting up for a Wandering Keg. The Iron Skin will be utilized. It will expire, but so will Wandering Keg. He's on the point. It's contested. Wubby's too low. He flying kicks away onto Nick. Nick gets the Swift Strike away. Wubby dies to damage over time from the Lunara as we have a Cocoon onto the Blaze, but the chase will continue from Hazuabs. He wants the damage, but turns around and says no. I need to go clear top, or at least somebody needs to clear top. I actually didn't even look at that boss at the time being. It is going to be quite healthy, as this, yes, needs to be someone to deal with it. I feel like Genji's not the opportune choice.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, does he have Shingon at least to deal with it? No, he doesn't. He have Way of the Shimada that does nothing on the objective, nothing on the boss. So this was so interesting because the Wubby attempt to steal with the Cocoon and then Breeze's Cocoon and Wubby's Wandering Cake, it was a win-win situation in terms of macro. Either you lose one hero, you don't get the boss, or you do get the boss, but either way, you've got boss pushing at the top as well, and it has wiped out the top keep wall.
Ancestor Healing forced onto Yasu as he has to wolf run once again. We have a big fight jumping in. Blaze with the Jet Propulsion. Breeze slowed by the totem from the Rhaegar, as this is also, actually that was the subdue from the John actually with the slow, but regardless, Wubby split, Wailing Arrow used. High fives from Lucio could be coming out here. Wubby can't be high five through that much damage, will be going down, and mid lane does have the null pack here. Mid lane fort shall fall, and Oxygen should be getting second objective. Should be is my assumption, but they have 40 seconds of channel time. Wubby on the Chen up in 20.
Yeah, he is still down, and the objective will need 40 seconds to be channeled.
And bottom fort should fall. Lunar, like Hazuabs has this. He's just gonna throw one of those Thornwood Vines.
Blossoms.
So Grubby, we didn't hear a lot from Granite Gaming. Do you want to jump into their comms again? Do you want to jump into Oxygen? I feel like this is kind of a good spot here in the lull of the game.
Yeah, either one would be cool. You know, I'd love to have a Swedish auto translator, but because it's just a little bit less accessible in full Swedish, let's jump into Oxygen now.
In we go.
The kick though.
I have cleanse.
They're jumping me both sides, but
I can stall it forever.
Yeah, keep stalling, it's good.
I know we
Alright, we're good.
We can punish them, no?
Get 16, get 16.
I got stalling.
No cleanse on Anub. Kill Anub. I will take him.
I'm
Anub. They can't save him. Just leave it now, Hasu. Sylvia's in.
Try to get your backer.
No. Try to leave.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm back.
I'm clearing mid, Care. I'm not there.
I need to tap mid.
We have Ancestral, we use Bunker though.
Carbot. They see us.
They use silence.
I ran top.
Yeah, use silence. Yes.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
I said it right now.
Lucius mid.
I'm coming, yeah.
20 on ult. Push with bot here. It's 4v4.
Oh, he did.
I pull on them though. They slowed.
Ming!
Yeah, Ming or Lucio. Lucio's stuck.
I cleanse you!
Try to live.
Care, live!
I'm fine here. 5 on ult. Copen is here.
Care Benny as well.
I have D.
Yeah, but...
I want him to go on me. They're running on your mid now.
Kill the rest of the wall here, and then we maybe rotate boss. Wait, which boss is actually they're not up, right?
I do easy.
Yeah. I killed the tower.
Top boss is first.
They might run us down.
Can Genji backdoor top thing? I will put the...
Getting to listen to how they're shot calling together is just... I didn't want to leave those comms. Like, Hazuabs has, like, such little guidance, I guess you could say, or shot calls, but it's so... so important. Like Liv, like just there's just like like Liv was basically help Nick. Like that one word was just help Nick in a sense. But really cool to hear from Oxygen. I love the energy, the fire that we're hearing in their comms.
Yeah, Hazu reminds me of one of those romantic films where someone goes off to war and then the love interest is like, live. You live, don't you dare down me, I'll get you. And it also reminds me a lot of what I learned during diving classes and sailing classes. If someone falls overboard during a sailing boat, like an incident with a sailing boat, you're supposed to shout after the person that's in the sea, swim! Like, that's not obvious, right? But they could be in a state of shock, so you just tell them something obvious, like swim. For here, for instance, it would be kill. And that worked.
That was definitely a kill onto the Genji. I was so enwrapped in your story that I was like, when Genji died, I was like, how was Genji all the way over here? What was he doing? But regardless,
do you remember what Hazu said though? He's like, Genji, can you go snipe the top fort? That's what happened.
Oh, I missed that. Okay. I think I was moving us in and out of comms for that. Okay, so that makes sense why he was up there. Okay, but bosses will be traded, and okay, Granit's gonna be able to get the channel. Yeah.
And remember, top keep wall's already gone,
Yes.
and you now have Granit Gaming with the position on the top keep. They know there must be a boss trade in play now. They see Johanna, it's super obvious. So they just need one person to pause the grunts from stopping the prison camp freedom. And now they can push with the boss. And it's funny, because it's really a David and Goliath battle here. We have 3 keep Granite against 5 fortifications Oxygen with a level deficit Granite. But they're the ones that are going to get the first keep and the current objective.
We have
Maybe.
Joanna
Probably.
was pushing up the mid lane a little bit. I'm watching her icon on the minimap to see is she hearthing out or not. And no, that's not the case. Joanna's actually a little kind of split from the team. I think the members of Oxygen want to fight. Wubby will be able to stall out the channel or the counter channel here. It's going to stop at 2.2 seconds. But yeah, Wubby's constantly putting on pressure. Wandering Keg does buy enough time, but was this a sacrifice from Wubby? Is he going to go down? He's going to try and drink through the pain. He's going to pop the elusive brawler. Maybe he can kick to a minion. No minions really to kick to. He drinks and will go down as bottom lane will be cleared out before the keep will fall. Top lane keep already down. Things are looking better and better for Granite Gaming, but as you were mentioning, Grubby, still a lot of structures to go through in mid and bottom.
Yeah, but I'm getting a little bit of Garden of Terror vibes here. This is a bit of a deja vu scene already because Oxygen, 2-level lead, they're near the keeps. Granite still has all 3 keeps.
Now, it is hard to end on this map with just 1 keep down, so we are going to see pressure through mid, then probably a rotation to bottom lane as the null pack is here through mid. The reason being is that Drekthar will be having 40 armor, so now he's got 40 now. He's now down to 20 as he loses 20 per, and I think the members of Oxygen just want to deal with the map. The bottom lane will lose the fort, mid lane already cleared out, top lane should be cleared out by Vandar Stormpike.
It's a good judgment call. Top general doesn't do anything, right? Anytime you see Quick Match or Storm League allies defending a level 19 general pushing top when keep is already gone, make sure to point at them and laugh and ping them. Because no, don't do that. But this doesn't do anything. Like, Copen is defending this, I guess, for XP? Is this no real threat? Yeah. Not actually sure why he's there. I'm not going to ping him.
Maybe just to speed things up a little bit while there's nothing really. I mean, that's my best guess.
You get back top vision more readily, I suppose, with your own minion wave winning more easily. But it was a really good judgment call by Oxygen. By pushing mid, not only did they get 2 keeps, they also protect mid fort, the most important one, which even still, that's insane.
Right.
And they just forfeited and sacrificed bottom fort and cleared it before it even reached the keep wall. Oxygen played that objective phase that was against them perfectly.
Perfectly played from Oxygen, as this is going to be mid lane null pack available once again. Oxygen looking to clear this out before it finds much value, as there's another jet propulsion in by Copen. The burrow out from Breeze, just taking stock of the map right now, and it feels everything on the side of Oxygen. One good fight for Oxygen, that's GG, that's the series. But of course, the members of Granite Gaming, they've got their own 20s, they just now achieved that. Trader King for the Anubarak. We've got those elements for the Li Ming swapping through her abilities or rotating through the abilities. But the big thing that I want to talk about, not only mixing fire, it's going to be that untapped potential, the Wandering Keg movement bonus, as well as some armor and duration. Or armor duration.
Armor bonus 75 instead of 25, and the movement speed 125 instead of 70%. Sometimes I even feel like that cake is too fast to steer. But I'm curious.
I have been, it's very Cecil steer in some of those moments where it's like, oh wait, where am I going?
Sometimes you go past the kick target, no?
I have done that quite a bit. Yeah. There's just you're just like, oh wait, no, I'm going way too. It's a little too fast and a little too furious for me sometimes. But I'm sure Vin Diesel has no problem with that, as the camp is going to be grabbed once again by the side of Oxygen. Objective phase up and available. Will Granite Gaming be able to grab it?
Let's see. Let's see. They're starting to channel already. And Thornwood Vine with the level 20 upgrade manages to just cancel Breeze out.
Actually gonna click really quickly. Okay, so Newbrek has not used Trader King just yet. I was wondering if he did pop that, but that's not gonna be the case. He does have the Nerubian armor at level 1. And Wubby to grab the camp. It feels like one of those old Western movies, Grubby, where it's just like the standoff. Like it's like who's gonna make the first move, or maybe even like an old samurai movie. Maybe more so like that. It's like who's gonna initiate first in the fight.
Open is trying to get the cap here, but there's some interrupts there by Quacknix. You had the bit of barbs by Breeze. No more interrupts. So the channel has begun. This is scary for Granit. They're down a keep, down a fort. Now they have the timer against them. They're coming via a very obvious side here, coming from the top, super front to back. Bad Benny's plugging the gap.
Jailers are going to try and get the counter channel. Copen still autoing onto them to cancel that out. Only when a hero gets the channel does it actually stall it out. The Jailers just, well, they can channel and turn it back into a neutral objective phase. But 22 seconds to go for the side of Oxygen. Granite Gaming wants to step in, but they just feel like they can't. Breeze actually burrows away. We've got a bunch of Jailers getting the counter channel. They're not going to be interrupted by anyone. 12 seconds remains. The bunker comes down from the blaze. The jet propulsion is available, I think. No, it's not, but there was a Bless Shield from the Joanna, as there's the jet propulsion connecting onto Breeze. A wailing arrow from Sylvanas was heard, but I don't know if it got any value. And Sister Healing on to Nick, who does get the Farseer's Blessing, so the secondary health bar. Quacknix is the target. Quacknix goes down. Bad Benny, with a little bit of HP, trying to live here, has the level 20. Oh, for the... Oh my god, this is rough for Granite Gaming. They're just losing member after member with no one on Oxygen dying.
Yeah, Nick was cleaning everyone up. It's a very mobile team here for Granite Gaming, but Nick's Genji was able to clean them up in a fight where if that had been an Imperious, for instance, well, he could have used the global teleport level 16, I suppose, but he wouldn't be able to kill 3 like he did here. Nick cleaned up, the rest of the team survived. That's exactly what Oxygen needed. They finished the objective, they start on the court, that's gonna be it. A fantastic showing by Granite Gaming tonight. But it is Oxygen who will take the victory with a 3-1 score against Granite Gaming. GG by both, but Oxygen takes it.
And with Drekthar falling, that is going to be our first series of the day. Well put, Grubby. Well put right at the end right there. Because I agree. I think Nick was pretty much the MVP of a lot of these games. Nick had some outstanding moments. Hazuab's fantastic in his own role and stuff like that, but Genji dive, knowing how to get in the back line, knowing how to harass, and knowing how to put pressure onto... And I know they lost that first map, justing on Garden of Terror, but I think Nick's ability to get into the backline and put pressure, like we saw early in this game in the top lane, Poik was dying to the Genji around level 7 or something like that in the 1v1, and that is just some pressure that I think Nick applied throughout the series. So overall, big MVP play from Nick in my opinion here. But of course, Justin, you're back in the mix. I'm sure you've got a lot to break down from Alterac Pass Map 4.
Yeah, that last game was pretty back and forth, all things considered. It felt mostly like Oxygen was in control, but there was that one moment where, and we were highlighting just now Nick and his performance. He seems to be a very high variance player, I would say. It's kind of like the high risk, high reward sort of thing, because, well, in that last fight, well, okay, I'll reel it back a bit. He nearly gave Granite their way back into the game, getting caught out top. That kind of began where Granite had a chance to come back, but then you also have that like high variance of winning that 1v1 bottom with Dragon Blade and a straight 1v1, just getting a solo kill and then diving into the backline and getting the triple kill in the last fight. So it's kind of that high risk, high reward. It's kind of that X factor that he brings. So it's cool to see how that sort of shakes up the games in general. But it is a potentially a double-edged sword if you don't keep it under control. It's kind of Glarong-esque of the old days where you had someone who would either pop off or he would kind of run it down, and there was really very little in between, just high variance. But it's cool to see a player like that can really kind of add a lot of just change to the games and a lot of change to a team. So cool to see how that will progress. Granite Gaming did have their opportunity, that one opportunity where they had the objective and the boss pushing in top. I almost wish that they would have just pushed top and tried to commit to that. The boss was basically full HP when they were pushing top and they had the objective channeling, and Oxygen, knowing kind of how the map works just better though in that moment, understanding that even though they were in a disadvantaged situation, in the macro front, with the objective being on the top side of the map and the boss being in the top side pushing, knowing that they had their level 20s and just manually going to push the mid and bottom keep was just really heads up play by Oxygen. Some of that shot calling that we had heard from 30k in last season spread out amongst this team of Oxygen, where you have Bad Benny and Hasuab's in the comms just kind of controlling everything, it felt like. You had talked about how Hasuab's comms sort of, it's these small little things that he says that are super important. It's like he doesn't need to say everything, but when he says something, it's very obvious that it's being listened to. And you have Bad Benny kind of controlling the front line, controlling the engages. And it feels like Oxygen right now just has a really good dynamic in the comms between Hasuab's and Bad Benny. Those two kind of seem to be carrying the comms. And we look at a quick springy crossing here.
Flash.
Yeah. But overall, just Oxygen looking extremely strong. Granite, it was good to see them having some back and forth moments in that game. The last team fight was basically lost off of the cocoon by Breeze, the cocoon usage. It's very weird to go Dragon Blade when you know that there's a cocoon on the other side. That was sort of the old counter to Dragon Blade, was to just have the cocoon, and as soon as he dives in, you just cocoon him. But as soon as Breeze is forced to use the cocoon onto the Lunara in that last fight, that's sort of the go button for Oxygen. That's pretty much where Oxygen just wins the fight automatically as soon as that cocoon is used on a Lunara. So just good heads up play by Oxygen to set that up though too, with the bot lane pushing in, with the mid and bot keep gone, and being able to get that channel. As soon as Granite gives over the beginning of that channel, it's nearly lost for them, because capturing it back, getting it back from them while they're all there, able to stall so easily, nearly impossible. So Oxygen looking super strong. They still look like they're competing for top first place, second place, third place. They're looking super strong, and Granite did get their win against them. So they are looking like they're getting a little bit better here. They're starting to get things figured out a bit. We saw quite a bit of roster changes today, but overall just Oxygen looking super scary, just as scary as they did in week 1.
Yeah, Oxygen will change up their record. They're going to be having a 2-1 record and a map score of 7-4. But of course, let's talk to one of the players from Oxygen Esports. We've got Hazuabs, I believe, on the line with us right now. Hazuabs, congratulations on your victory up against Granite Gaming. How you feeling?
Thank you very much. Relieved. It was an important win, and we did our job. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're relieved, and we'll talk a little bit more about your upcoming matchup in a couple weeks. But first, before anything, I want to throw a question over to Justin.
Yeah, I guess just, first of all, congrats. And how do you feel about the draft meta for your position right now in the game? We know last season, your hero pool was pretty standard. It was a lot of Hanzo, like in particular, that really stood out. But it seemed like 30k as a whole last season, when you were on it, had a very, you kind of just perfected the meta picks. And I guess I'm just curious how the meta has changed since then for your heroes, and kind of what you're going to be playing, how it feels in the season right now.
Honestly, I think for me personally, not too much changed, but we do have a different roster, right? So we obviously, the drafting is a bit different, and we have Nick instead of Dino as the second range flex. So it's a bit more catered to him, because he's also very talented mechanically. So if he wants to play a certain hero, he can be unleashed on it, and it changes it a little bit. But I think overall, for me personally, it's still gonna be a lot of like the Tychus, Lunara, Hanzo. Occasionally, like something like Jaina, I think, if we need the wave clear and we know that Nick is gonna be on the third melee, maybe. But yeah, it depends a little bit on what the plan is overall. But I think it's kind of the same, honestly. The meta overall didn't change too much, and it was good what we did last season, right? So kind of stick to it, or try to stick to it.
Very interesting. Grubby, a question for Hazuabs.
Hey Hanzo, you'll forgive me my error, not planned, sorry. Hey Hazu, congrats. My first question is, you said you were relieved. Why? Wouldn't it be a relatively predictable victory here against Granite?
I mean, in a way, we did predict to win. Ideally, obviously, we wanted a 3-0, right? But map 1, we kind of like made a big mistake late game, and then they instantly punished us for it. But I mean, it's still an important game, right? These guys are all like top class players, right? They used to be like all the way on the top. Obviously, they don't play as much these days, but they have a lot of experience. They have a lot of knowledge of the game. Like HoTS is different from what it used to be, but they are scary in a way, right? And we really wanted to pick up these 3 points. Like last week against Wildheart, we yeah, we didn't play too well, and it's good for the morale. It's good as a mental boost, and obviously also good to get the points. Secure them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, sure. Makes sense. Another question is Lunara. Lunara in Storm League, Diamond and above, has a 3% lower win rate than average. And she's probably like bottom 15 win rate heroes. Hanzo too. You play all these heroes that in Storm League aren't very good. And then even in pro play, we see a lot of Lunaras where we see exemplified the let's say the moniker of fake damage when it comes to Lunara. Why do you think yours is more effective than most other Lunaras that we see even in CCL?
It's very funny. Like some other pros ask me about that as well. Like, how do you get Lunara to work all the time, right? And I honestly don't know what I do differently. I think I babysit my Wisp a lot actually. And I think the Wisp is a very, very important tool of Lunara. Like just having the vision and the knowledge. And besides that, when you have 3 stacks of poison, you press your Q with a level 7. That's like the most burst you can get. I think Vines and Leap, they are both viable. I personally like Vines a bit more because overall damage output in a team fight is higher. But Leap can be extremely strong in some scenarios, right? When they dive, you just survive because you get out. But yeah, I think, I don't know. Maybe I also have a lot of games on Lunara, I guess. Maybe that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it's a great answer. Thank you.
It's very fair, and yeah, it does. All of your hero plays always look very, very good, as well as the comms that we did get to hear from you earlier. Before we get to shoutouts here, HoTS, in 2 weeks, because we do have the Memorial Day break this upcoming weekend. So on June 5th, you'll be going up against 30K, your old team. Any thoughts, concerns, excitement going into that match in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, 30K looked very strong so far in week 1 and 2, and I think they're about to play against Wildheart, right? Which is a very telling match as well for the whole season, because both of these are undefeated. And I mean, I think 30K and Chili Mountain, that's what I predicted at the very beginning of the season, are like the top dogs. So it's gonna be hard against them, It's like the superstar NA roster, but. I mean, we will try our best, right? We will prepare, we will scrim a lot. We actually do scrim a lot anyways. We do some draft preparation. We get to see the match against Wildheart next, and then, yeah, we will come in as well prepared as we can.
Well, I wish you all the best in your 2 weeks of scrim time, and we'll see you on June 5th up against 30K. Until then, any shouts that you'd like to give, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, shout out to Team Liquid, shout out to Oxygen, to Twitch chat, to you guys, the people behind the CCL, and shout out to the Granit players as well. Actually, like it's very fun playing against like the old faces, Quacknix, Breeze, Whoopi, Polk, and so on. I actually really enjoy it, and yeah, I had a great evening.
I'm glad to hear. Good luck in your scrims, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Good luck out there.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you, HoTS. That's really nice. He's happy to play against the teams that you're going up against, and I feel like that is one of the great parts about the Community Clash League is that it's a community of people. I mean, you got players who I'm sure look up to HoTS, and it's the same way. Like maybe like Liam's just like, oh, I get to play against HoTS in a couple weeks. But really, really cool stuff. We are gonna be getting ready for our next best of 5 of the day. We are gonna be jumping into Wildheart versus 30K. But before we do any of that, let's talk about gambling. Let's talk about how you can get the best picks for the winning team as you're watching live on cclmarkets.com. It's free. If you pick wrong, you can sell your shares and buy the other team before the match is over. CCL Markets trade from 0 to 100 with shares of the winning team valuing at 100 and shares of the losing team expiring at 0. There's tons of prizes this season, so make sure you're getting in there and getting all of your predictions in there. Be sure to join and play during every HeroesCCL broadcast, and I believe there is a command already going out in chat. If you do want to check that out, I highly encourage it. Get yourself some of these prizes that are going to be coming out from cclmarkets.com, and thank you once again, Ball Street, for partnering with HeroesCCL Season 4. So, as I mentioned, we are going to be getting into another best of 5 in just a little bit. We will, of course, have a Kyle Ferguson interview. But before we go to that, I do want to kind of ask both of you. I like to do this at the end of our series always and just kind of, get a vibe check, if you will. Grubby, I want to start with you. Feelings from that first best of 5 of the day, or maybe even anticipation getting into our next one?
Yeah, I think Granit Gaming looked a little better than they have so far. So I see an upwards trend that we sadly hadn't seen with Simplicity as much yet. but I'm seeing it with Granite Gaming, so maybe they will indeed be the team that is scaling hard during this season. However, that destiny is still open. It is not written, as it will be down to the effort being put in, with the perfect opportunity coming up now, with a 2-week break before the next playing weekend. Granite Gaming, good luck with your practice, and thanks for playing this weekend. Then, of course, the Oxygen team, they still looked very, very strong.
Oh, yeah.
And they're one of our top contenders. I enjoyed that series a lot, and I think the next one might be even better.
Justin, any thoughts as well?
Yeah, Grubby basically summarized the first match, kind of the same thoughts that I was having. Is Granite's looking a little bit better. There was that game 1 that was really a spectacular moment for them, and Oxygen's still looking good. I'm mostly excited for this next match though, Wildheart versus 30k. We're gonna finally see. Even HoSwab said that it's gonna kind of set the tone for the rest of the season between these teams, as they are both undefeated in first place.
Yep.
I guess in second place because they haven't played 3 games yet, but I'm super excited to see kind of who comes out ahead here, because it really will be. This will be probably the most important regular season match for both of these teams. So really excited to see kind of who is going to be joining Oxygen and Diamond Hands in that top 4.
We'll definitely have some standing shakeups at the end of the day here. And of course, just a little precursor, Wildheart 2-0, 30k 2-0. Both teams sit 6-1 in their map records. Somebody is going to be going down in the standings. Someone's going to be moving up in the standings. We're going to be going to a short little break here. In the break, we're going to be having Kyle Ferguson join Zergling for a fantastic interview to discuss the upcoming matchup and Zergling's thoughts as well. When we come back, we'll have that best of 5 series. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom.